It was really funny because I remember like when he first got elected, he was out doing like a photo walk in I think it was Bushwick, Brooklyn, not far from me. And they were like at the subway station and two people out in the street were getting into a fist fight. And so he stops and they're not stopping the fight. He's like, we're going to show today like the power of the NYPD. He calls the cops to report it. It took them 23 minutes to get there.
The real question is, where the fuck is Klaus Schwab? Where's this guy been?
I don't know.
I haven't seen him since Ukraine got invaded.
Yeah,
I'm
right?
just saying.
And also, too, I've noticed a lot of the businesses took down their Ukraine flags this month.
Oh,
Replaced them with some rainbow flags.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
Homo Estas? That was Chipotle's campaign. That was Chipotle's real campaign.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. I might have seen that from your Twitter, that picture or whatever.
Yes, I was like, bien, E2?
Wasn't that one was old, though, right? Like, that was from years ago.
I think it was from, a couple of years ago. But then Bud Light had a funny one, too. It was, let's get beer tonight, Queens, LGBTQ.
Plus.
Yeah. And like they had a rainbow color bottle. I was like, that's funny. But Bud Light doesn't strike me as a super gay beer. You know?
I don't think any of these corporations are super gay
give a
anything.
Oh, they're
super
give a
gay
shit.
Green.
They don't
that's
give
what they're
shit.
That's
dude.
what they're about. They like money.
Well, that's what's so funny is now we're at a point where it's like it's become a meme. You know, like everyone knows of this thing of like, oh, like Pride Month, big corporations just. But I'm like, they still do it. That's what's funny. Is like they still do it now at this point of everyone kind of pushing it off, like not taking it as serious.
It's not that like, I think people just don't like when things get militant, you know?
Yeah.
So like Pride was obviously like a very important thing because in this country and around the world still, but in this country for a long time, people were very, very not accepting at all and all that. So the history is rooted in that. But in recent years, it's so all over the place where now you have like Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan changing their logo to Pride.
It's like, dude.
It's like, bro, I worked at a bank. I remember when it was like Black History Month and shit, and they're sending out like all this stuff about how important it is. I'm looking around at 250 fucking white dudes. I know that the last black guy they actually hired, they fired in 2 months, probably for no reason.
Exactly.
I'm like, but lecture me on Black History Month.
But at least they released the new Top Gun movie. Because that's perfect for Pride Month, right? Me and my friend always argue about, like, what's the gayest movie, Brokeback Mountain or Moonlight? I think it's Top Gun.
Wait, Moonlight's with Cher, right?
No. That was Barry Jenkins. It's about a young boy coming up in, like, Miami-Dade County as a queer kid. Yeah. It's a really good movie. Really good.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. What a way to come out the gate, huh?
Yeah,
what a way.
Hey guys, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, we'd love to hear from you down in the comments section as well. To everyone who has been sharing the links to these episodes, that is a huge help. Let's keep that rolling. Would love to see some of these things get shared on social media pages. It's always great to text it to friends too. That's very personal. Word of mouth is the best thing we can get. So I really appreciate everyone who's helped out in that department. Now, let's talk about my friends over at 8 Sleep. The 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover comes in queen or king sizes. It goes right on top of your current mattress, and it is wired directly into 8 Sleep's proprietary app where it measures your sleep stages throughout the night. And why is this important to you? Because it optimizes your sleep around you. And when you get your sleep optimized, you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens. You wake up with a ton of energy. I just woke up 5 minutes ago, and listen to me. This is incredible. It's all the 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover. So if you use the link in my description, along with the code TRENDIFIER at checkout, that's TRENDIFIER. Very, very important to use that code. You will get $150 off your own 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover today. Check out that link, use that code, get the product. You're going to love it. Coming out with smoke, but I didn't expect anything less.
No, yeah, man.
No, it was cool getting connected with you, obviously, through our boy John Rondi, who...
Johnny Drinks.
By the way, he has his own segment of my contact list on my phone.
Really?
Like, everyone on my phone is named, like, their actual name, but not people who Rondi introduces me to.
Really?
It's always like Rondi's yoke trainer dude, Rondi's comedian guy, Rondi's Ponzi schemer, Rondi's witch doctor.
Dude.
So you're Rondi's comedian guy.
Look at that. I'm the jester.
That's it. You're the jester.
Joey Jester and Johnny Drinks.
Johnny Drinks has some pull now. So
yeah,
good
dude.
place to be a jester.
Dude, I told him, I'm like, talk to Dana for me, let me get some private lessons, BJJ,
Did you see the video that they put up? We're talking about the Johnny Drinks page on YouTube and TikTok, by the way, in case that wasn't clear. But go check it out. Good page. But did you see the video he put up where his dad, I forget what it was even about, but they're in the training room at the UFC headquarters, and it's Dana and his dad just like talking about something, maybe like, I don't know, motivation.
I think so.
And you just see John like in the foreground, like, oh, whoops, what? Oh, do I? I'll leave.
Okay.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Like over and I'm like, dude, I watched that like 10 times. I'm like, that's the most ADD moment I have ever seen on camera in my life.
There's nothing worse, dude. The camera's rolling.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're like, what do I do? That is a terrible situation to be in.
You can't get caught on the stray though.
No.
You gotta stay out.
Gotta stay quick. That's why I drank a Celsius before I came down here.
What is it?
You know Celsius? This is the new movement, dude. You're gonna be
the Celsius movement. I'm googling it,
dude. So it's a caffeine beverage. It's like an energy drink, but it's like jam packed with vitamins. It has like 220 milligrams of caffeine per can. The average cup of coffee's got like 120. Looking at double 2 for $5 at a 7-Eleven too. It's a good deal.
I can see the lawsuits already,
dude. It's actually crazy though, because like the last month, everyone I know is drinking them. I see them everywhere now, and I'm like, are we about to embark into the new era of caffeine consumption? Because they're not like your typical energy drink. They're way healthier than your typical energy drink.
way healthier.
I mean, compared to like a Red Bull, I'd bet my bottom dollar they might be.
What was the other one? 5 Hour Energy.
Oh my god,
that shit was definitely cancer.
Death,
right?
Yeah.
You're
the death shot.
Taking that.
Yeah, I had it maybe like once, to be honest too. I never really like. Some people swore by those. I knew like editors, people who they would just be like, "Oh, dude, 2 5-hour energies." I'm like, really? You don't go into cardiac arrest at your desk? Because editing's stressful already.
Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah, it's like I like to have some coffee when I'm editing, but like a lot of times it's just there in case I need it. I end up dumping it. Like I don't even have it, because if you get too jumpy, like if I guzzle one of these, right? Like even when I'm on podcasts,
right.
By the way, a lot of times like I'll drink a little bit because I take small sips and then I'll be like, oh shit, I wasted the whole thing. But like if you are guzzling it, suddenly everything gets jittery. And then when you're editing, especially if you're like looking at all the different frames and angles and shit, like you start jumping around on there too. Yeah. And then it's like it wastes time.
Yeah. It's you get into like a mode of like an ADD where you're just all over the place. Even just happens to me with stuff as simple as writing. If I like get too caffeined out, all of a sudden I'll be on YouTube watching like Bohemian Grove documentary.
How long have you been writing? It's like we'll talk about some of the other stuff you do, but
well, I've been writing like formally since I was like 16, 17. I'm 25 now. Screenwriting since I was 18. That's like where my main shtick was. Like I love writing prose and fiction. Got really into poetry throughout college because I was taking all these poetry courses for school. And so I was like, oh wait, poetry's pretty dope. Poetry's pretty tight. It's not it's not for the better
team poetry
term. Yeah, like it was dope. And so I got into that heavy. And then just like writing like sketch and like stuff like that. I've been doing that my whole life. It's just the newest thing has been like writing jokes. That's something that's been really new. It's still only like less than a year where I'm actually sitting down and like writing setup, punchline, or whatever.
It's hard, man.
Yeah, it is. It's really freaking hard. But as far as just general writing, for a long time, English was always one of my favorite subjects for sure. Because I like reading. You might look at me and be like, but I do. I love to read.
What do you like reading?
I love, my favorite stuff is like the Beatniks, Jack Kerouac, William S. Burroughs, Allen Ginsberg, that whole like era. I'm just so fascinated by, because
I'm unfamiliar.
It was just an era when you can ride a train from New York to San Francisco. You can hop trains. You and your buddies could literally go and hop trains all the way to San Francisco. It's just like that in itself was a crazy experience. And then they live this bohemian lifestyle of just, they were coming out of the military, Jack Kerouac at least. So he was on the GI Bill. You know, he would make money. He would get money from the government. And then it was just a fucking all-out frenzy of writing. And, you know, with them, they were early experimenting with drugs. Like, you know, weed was only becoming a thing in, you know, that time, or only being discovered. Benzedrine back then, that was like a big thing. His whole claim to fame was he wrote his book On the Road in like, I think it was like 18 days. He was just on a Benzedrine bender. He wrote it on one long scroll, which is like at the museum in Lowell, Massachusetts. And it's just incredible.
And this is all like the 50s, 60s.
Yep.
It
was incredible. And so I fell in love with his work because it's just like it goes with jazz. Jazz was big to them, and there's a beat to their writing, the Beatniks, you know.
Very poetic of you.
Very poetic, man. Yeah.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? I had the most Captain Obvious thought ever.
Oh, those are the best.
Why have I never realized this? Someone probably told me at some teacher somewhere had to tell me this, and I just like wasn't fucking listening. But I was like, I'm very into lyrics and like how people write them and how they bring them to life. Like I'll go read something and be like, all right, well, let's see how they actually put it in the bars, right?
Right.
Like how it ended up coming out. What did they inflect? What didn't they? And I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, music is just poetry with a beat.
Dude, exactly.
That's not even just rap. I'm saying all music.
All music. I mean, dude, you know, a guy like Bob Dylan is highlighted in so many poetry communities. Even if you go on like your Instagram and you go through like poetry pages all over Instagram, he's everywhere because there were a lot of people who didn't even dive into his music as much. They would just read his lyrics. They'd get a book of lyrics. Yeah, it's like and so that's a great example. I mean, even if you've listened to this new Kendrick Lamar album that just came out, like another great example.
He's amazing.
He's one person. I know, like I appreciate, because I know you like music a lot. You know, I've seen you like talk about Kanye, all this stuff. It's like all of it is poetry. It's about the things that have been carried, right? Like I feel like poetry is a lot about like what you've carried.
Right.
And so like Kendrick Lamar, this latest album, great example. This is a guy who's finally spilling all these things he's carried and have been hindering him in whatever ways. And yeah, I don't know what the end of that thought is, but it felt good when I was saying it. It felt good.
No, it's like the creative curse sometimes too, like when it's flushing out some of the negativity that you've had in your life, yet you can make it beautiful.
Yeah.
Because people, they relate to it. You know, like I don't know. Sometimes I think about how we're wired as human beings to be so pro notice negativity over positivity, right? Like you don't have to hear negativity movements because everyone already is naturally there. You have to hear positivity movements because people aren't naturally there. And obviously it has to do with evolution and fucking survival and fight and flight.
Well, yeah, and life suffering.
Exactly.
You know.
But it's really amazing how the most beautiful art ever comes from that place normally. Not always, you know. I listen to Party in the USA. Right? Like there's some positive, but I'm saying like a lot of it, even songs that have an upbeat to it, they come from like Lost Love or like something like that, you know?
Dude, because adversity breeds greatness.
Yes.
And I think I'm going to butcher the hell out of the quote, but like, you know, James Baldwin had a great quote, and I remember I saw it a few days ago. And it was just that like when you're going through some really crazy shit, or you're going through some really intense feelings, you know, and most of the time negative, you think that there might not have been people that ever experienced this, but then you listen to music, you read books, you watch movies, and you get to connect with people that have been here, you know, recently or a very long time ago, and they have all felt the way you feel. And I think that's a really special thing. And it's a thing I think a lot of people oftentimes overlook too, right? You know?
Totally. Yeah,
you can read a book and you can be like, wow, this is what I'm feeling. So many people have felt before, and you get to see what did they do with it or how did they deal with it. And I think that's really special.
I think sometimes like we internalize it where we don't get in touch with that though. And we don't consider why this totally other life and experience that was written in this book, whether it was fiction or nonfiction, why we felt a connection to it. We just instead say, and with movies too and shows too, we just instead say like, oh, I really like that. Shit's fire.
Yeah,
right.
Shit's dope.
But the people, you know, you're a very creative person. I'm a creative person. I feel like we lean into the why. You know,
Of
what's
course.
what's the underlying motivate? Why am I watching this? Why am I reading this? Like, why does this really reach me? Why does this person who has nothing to do with me and a life that I can't even imagine, why do I feel like there's a parallel to it?
Yeah. It's really cool. And I find it even more special when you really go back and you dig into the things that aren't in the now, you know, because everyone's listening to the new, you know, Lil Baby, you know. Like it's interesting when you go back because you think that there's no ways to relate because they grew up in this time that is just so different from ours now, the way we've progressed in just even the last 20 years. But then you go back and you're like, yeah, we might have robots that are delivering food in Los Angeles on the sidewalk, but at the same time, the guy in the 1950s who lost a loved one, you still have a lot in common with them, even if it was a completely different era in time than what we're used to now.
You know what's going to be really interesting is how this all translates through video.
Yeah.
Right? So it's hard for us to relate on some levels to like Abraham Lincoln or something because they're not on video, right? Whereas you can go now as early as like John Kennedy and you can hear him talk. Now he was very early, so the quality's low.
Yeah.
But once you get into like the 70s and 80s, we're now at this point where we're 40, 50 years into it, but we can relate to things visually and feel as well
For
that
sure.
these people did because there was content sharing for the first time.
Yeah, you get to look them in their eyes.
Yeah.
And even if it's not like actually, speaking, you do get to see what is behind them. And I think, yeah, that's awesome, you know? But it's going to be even crazier because people are going to have they're going to be watching us in 8K. Not even just 4K, 8K.
Not even just that. Like, think about it 200 years from now.
Oh, I mean,
Right? Like, look
even
at
know how
how
to
we
grasp
think
that.
about the fucking Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Yet those people are going to be able to watch us doing this. Like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck.
They're
Wow.
gonna be
This,
like, dude, wait. And they weren't hired by like a radio station or something.
Yeah.
No, this is just independent. I think that's like the best part of it is the way you can do things so independently now, you know?
yeah.
That is just...
It's cool.
It's cool.
It's definitely like even a guy like you, like coming up on the comedy scene in New York City, that's a competitive place, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you have your own platforms to be able to put out what you want too.
Exactly.
You know, there's not the middleman like there was even 15 years ago.
Yeah. No, that's like the best part. I think it's cool because now everyone... I don't know if this devalues it now because there's so much, but everyone really has a chance to leave a legacy here. And really be able to do it. And I think that's something that a lot of people didn't get to do. And you know, granted, what is a legacy, that's different for everyone. It could be just having a child that, you know, outlives you. But I think now it's like if you're making something or creating something, like you have a chance now, it's going to be here even when you're gone. Like I think about that all the time. I say like, if I died in the next year, which, you know, I'll knock on wood, but if I died like next year, I know that like I'm gone, but I'm leaving behind so much, whether it's, you know, it's poetry, it's writing, it's, you know, sketches, it's short films. It's just like, I know that no matter what, it's all there. And
You were
that's
here.
I was here.
Yeah.
I was here. And don't forget it, you know?
Yeah, I think you're onto something there. It's also the flip side of it is everyone thinks their legacy is on every tweet. You know,
Yeah.
everyone when you say legacy, I love how you put it. Like it could be just like having a kid or something like that. But that's not how most people think. They're like, I want to be the greatest. I want to be known. What do you want to be known for? I don't fucking know, but I just want to be known, man.
I want to be able to mint my tweet like Jack did and sell it for $10 million and then let it resell for 105, you know?
Yeah, you're like the big NFT guy too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, dude, I went into like a manic episode last year during the crypto bubble. It was insane. I look back on it, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. I was like calling my mother. I was like, I might change industry. I was like, I'm hyped on Chainlink. I might change industries. I applied for jobs at Chainlink.
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna put it out there. Yeah,
Oh no, the Link Mafia, is that them?
Link Marines, baby.
Link Marines, that's it.
Hooah. No, but yeah, dude, I was big into that. It was, dude. It's, you know, Christ, I'm not gonna let it go dive into that hole, but it's an interesting thing. It really is.
It's like anything else.
Yeah.
It'll wash away the people who are full of shit, which is 99.9% of people in the space.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got an NFT for sale.
Yeah.
It's been on the market for a year with
You
no
have an
movement.
NFT for sale?
Yeah, me and my buddy. It's on Rareable.
What? Oh, it's not even on Open.
It's not even on OpenSea because OpenSea wasn't the thing yet. I was early to the game.
Oh, you were early.
Yeah, Rareable was where it was
Work
at.
out for you.
Well, it's still for sale. We haven't had any,
What was it called?
It was a collaboration with my buddy. Think This Is Yours is the name. I'm trying to think.
I don't even remember the name.
Yeah, look at, God forbid someone's like, I would love to buy it right now
You
for.
want people to remember you, but you can't remember the fucking name of the
I don't want them. I don't want them to remember me for NFTs. So it's all right.
We got it. Think This Is Yours? Is that it?
Okay, yeah.
Hey,
That's
I'm a
his
new-
page.
Hey, I'm a New York-based artist, and I want to show the world my perspective on life.
Yeah,
through
this is
art.
my buddy Z.
Incredibly original.
But fuck, what was my thing? Was it just Deef? It might have just been Deef.
Deef.
Jeez, guys, I'm a fraud.
You had low characters. That's good.
Yeah.
Just Deef.
If you go, I could get it for you if you go on my Instagram.
Oh no.
But yeah, then we're going down a rabbit hole here.
Let's go down the rabbit hole.
Go to brand.deef. It was for when.
It was a separate Instagram
separate
page.
account. Yeah.
All right, so type in brand.deef.
Brand.deef.
Did you feel so smart when you were doing this early?
Dude,
You felt like a rocket
Oh my god,
scientist,
dude!
right?
I was like, we were minting it. It costed like $100 to mint because of Ethereum gas fees. We're like, this is worth it. This is a good investment. There it is, right there.
The middle one?
Yep. Dude, come on! Did you buy it? You're gonna buy it? It's almost like I knew I wanted to tell jokes when I put this up.
I don't even know if I want to put that on the screen.
No, put it on the
I'll
screen.
put it on the screen.
Put it on the damn
I'll
screen.
put it on the fucking corner for people to see. What was the...
We sold out the t-shirts. The t-shirts sold out. We sold 50 t-shirts of that, so I'll say that.
It's simple. I'll give
It
you
is.
that.
It's simple.
It's a simple...
It's simple-minded, maybe. I don't know. I'm like sitting here talking like all these big, like, yeah, creating this, that, the other thing, and then you pull up the work. Yeah. I can leave. All right.
No,
it was a quick ride. I could beat the 5 p.m. traffic.
Nah, that's good, man. I'm impressed with your hustle, I guess.
You're impressed that it got 65 likes, one of which is me.
How much did you pay for those likes? Is that all from Saudi?
A couple ETH.
Yeah,
A couple
okay.
ETH,
All right,
yeah.
I was gonna
From
say.
Saudi, yeah. It was from the Saudis.
I do like.
I got linked up with them.
There is this thing though now because like it's a good brand for you.
I just want to say that this right here is the example of 99.9% are bullshit. It's like, yeah, there it is right there.
the biggest threat to NFTs are NFTers. The biggest threat to Bitcoin are Bitcoiners. Certain ones, right?
Yeah.
Depends on who you are. It's just kind of a thing. But like, even on a serious note, looking at the tech bubble, I've always used this example with anything. I'm like, the tech bubble had Amazon, it had Apple, and Microsoft, obviously.
Yeah.
Apple had been around, but like, they were all there. They all got hurt,
Yeah.
but they were real, right?
Yep.
Now, pets.com, not so much. Wasn't real.
Exactly.
But there will be the things that shake out where it's like, oh, okay, this is very legit. But in the meantime, it's really good that there is a little bit of a reckoning going on in that marketplace.
Oh, we needed
right
it,
now.
dude. We needed it. Who the hell wanted another Bitcoin convention or something right now?
God.
It's like
We get it.
let's dial it back. All right. I believe in it just as much as the next
Yeah,
guy, but
yeah.
let's dial it back.
Yeah, I'm with you. But there's also like, this is good for your brand too, because you're a comedian, and this is like, oh, look at my work of art.
Yeah, and
my seminal fiction.
Yeah, and that's exactly that's the exact sentiment I had when I posted. I didn't post that seriously. Wink, wink.
What kind of drugs were you on when you made that?
Just no drugs. Just life.
you?
Just pot, if you want to call pot a drug.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not much.
Yeah.
That's not much. It wasn't like some crazy trip where you thought this was like
Oh
the
my
fucking
god, dude!
Mona Lisa.
I would have archived it by now.
It is messaging though, man. Like sometimes I feel like we really are living in the simulation where they're just testing, like the aliens are like, let's see what they'll go for
Oh,
next.
dude. 1,000%.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to wake up and go to work every day when a girl made $30,000 in January selling her farts on the internet. That's real.
Is that the same girl that sold her tit sweat?
Yes.
Oh no.
She pivoted. The people were like, "Listen, I realized I've been having problems with my lungs since inhaling your farts. So could we get tit sweat?" You know, it's crazy. What's even crazier, dude, is like you'll see something like that, right? She made $30K in the month of January. She was charging $3,000 for a jar, so she sold 10 jars.
Antonio Brown probably bought it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, he bought it.
And then there's like thousands of people who will sleep on the streets tonight. It's like what a country we live in.
Survival of the fittest.
I give her credit.
But what is that's the thing. Like, you know, I'll laugh at it, but like, can you hate on it? I guess. But like,
isn't that insane?
It's insane.
We can't you can't even find it in you to like hate on it because you're like, well, she still made 30,000. It's like, yeah, but selling her farts in jars. She has packaging and like there's packaging. She puts little rose petals in the jars. It's like, what are we doing, folks?
Oh God.
And then you're sitting here telling me about how you're trying to build this great thing, and I'm like, yeah, me too. I'm trying to build it, and it's like, that's what she's doing, and it's working. It's like,
you know what though? You don't have a nice set of knockers.
I don't.
You don't have those eyes that could just bring a man to his knees.
Listen, I get on a cycle of test 250 with no post-cycle therapy. I could get those knockers. Okay, I can get some gyno going.
It is easier to do now. I gotta say, like, it's still expensive as hell, but like, they're making the shift.
Yeah,
they're doing it.
It's great because I've noticed nowadays people are so much more open with it. I forgot the one guy on Instagram that just came up on Discovery and he's like, "Yeah, I'm starting my cycle this week, Anavar, TRT," and I'm like, "Dude, Jesus Christ!" He's just like, and he has like 20,000 likes, and people are like, "Fuck yeah!" It's like, yeah, this is it now, man.
That's the shit. I'm not like I don't know what to think of that because there's a lot of like reinforcement. Like a lot of the people liking it are like, wow, I guess you're being yourself. Like, you know, that could be all it is. But at the same time, like society, so much stuff you have to press. You talk about like leaving legacies. People want to leave their legacy in every TikTok video talking about their fucking pronouns. It's It's like, okay, you're going to have the opposite effect on people when you do this.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a point where when you start telling everyone like, oh, this is perfectly normal and you should all do it and fucking 7-year-olds should change their gender. It's like, okay, scientifically, you're not really backed up by that. You know what I mean?
It becomes a gimmick at a
exactly.
point. Because it's like every single waking moment of this, whatever it is being expressed in that way. It's like, guys, when are you going to do the video about how you make your homemade avocado toast? You know?
Those were simpler times. Imagine
Wasn't it? When avocado toast became a thing?
That was what we were celebrating or ripping.
That was a good time. What was that? Like that was like 2010. Well, that was like a good time, right? What was anything?
11, 12. Yeah.
All of a sudden you're like, well, yeah, there was that major attack. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But that's every year, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's always the new thing. It's just moving to the new thing. But
yeah,
you know, I think about. I probably fail, but I try to think about things extrapolated 5-10 years out. And like, okay, well, what are we doing? Where do we want to be in like a good, civil, happily progressive society? And what are we doing now to get there? And so when I see the stuff like that, like, you know, there are people out there who are legitimately trans and stuff like that. It's like a boy who cried wolf scenario now because when everyone's coming out and talking about it and like suddenly there's the latest person popping up like, oh, I'm transitioning, like out of nowhere, you know, it's like you're putting a dent in what the people who actually
for sure
feel that
for sure
have been trying to like get acceptance for, because now like, okay, well, everyone's doing it, fuck you, like that's what people I hear it in the sentiment of people, and I'm like, I understand why you feel that way.
Right. I mean, I knew guys in college who were like, yeah, I'm bi, and I'm like, all right, well, have you banged a guy yet? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, well, are you bi then? And they're like, I think so. I'm like, well, I think you should try, you know, you were throwing a great term around before, guzzle and coffee. I think you should go and guzzle a little bit and see if you're going to back this up, you know? Because if not, there's people out there that are that, and you're just kind of discrediting all of that. Exactly. Just like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We do, but it's just too easy because all people have to do is send.
Oh, yeah.
Now they're on the team.
Oh, yeah.
That's the danger.
Yeah, well, people want to be on a team, right?
They do. They do.
That just sounded like such a typical like Rogan type exchange. Like that 2 sentences. They go pop, 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 pop. Enter. Now they're on a team. Yeah, but people want to be on a team, right?
Yeah, man. Totally.
Have you read Tribe? Sebastian Unger was on a couple episodes ago. His book is wild, man. Wild.
It is a great book.
Great book.
It is
actually a great book. Yeah,
I've read that
Same.
book. I like that guy.
Yeah, he's a brilliant motherfucker.
He's like, I don't know if he would describe it this way, so this is just my opinion, but I doubt he has awareness of this because he's just right in the experience and explaining it beautifully, but he represents to me a guy who values the utopian positives of socialism and libertarianism at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, we all know neither of those things can exist in their purest form. I mean, some people think they can, but, you know, like, they don't make sense once you extrapolate it all the way. But he's, like, all about the value of the quote-unquote tribe and the people around you and how humans are wired to help each other out in an egalitarian type way, and then also the ability to step away, get in touch with nature, be a part of a society, but also not feel like you're defined by the society.
Right.
And I'm reading that, I'm like, why isn't this guy running for office?
I mean, that's what it always comes back to, right? Yeah. It always comes back to that, for me at least, is like, you like hear and you're like, dude, why do we never have anyone running for office that like sounds like one of these guys? It's just like, but it makes sense because why would any of those guys want to get involved in politics? Why the fuck would you want to?
Exactly.
It's just all a bunch of bullshit.
I asked that question, who wants to do this?
Yeah.
Especially now. Maybe 10 years ago is a different question. But
and it
now,
makes sense. The kids who study poli-sci, you see, it's like, I could see why,
I guess, and that's like a really obvious one, but also like just mentality.
Yeah.
Like, what do you have to be, like, you know what you're going to put yourself through, but you also know what the reinforcement of your team can get you.
Right.
Like, do I think that
get you a first class ticket on the Lolita Express, baby? Going. Little St. James.
Let's do it. What's the deal there? So they locked up all the records are now sealed? Anything that was put out at her
trial?
Case?
Yeah. And they're also having a really hard time selling the island, which, go figure, right?
Yeah, go figure.
They're going to lower the price. I think that might get a bid.
They should sell it. Well, actually, this would probably be bad because people run conspiracy theories. But in an ideal world of no conspiracy theories, the government should buy it and use it as a nuclear testing plot. And just like that. That was an island. It was called like Batari Bottom or something.
That's good.
But that was an actual, they just said after World, because we didn't give a fuck after World War II. We're like, you know what? We're going to take that island in the Pacific and we're going to do a test there today. It's gone.
You had me too, because for a second I'm like, you're going to be like, yeah, the government should buy it, sell it, donate the money to like sex trafficking relief or something. No, we're going to buy it and we're going to nuke the living hell out of it because it's coming soon, folks.
It should never, ever be there. It's like whatever the opposite of sacred territory is.
Absolutely. It should be. I don't even want to take time to think about it. You're right.
What do you think happened there? Who was he?
I think exactly what we all think. I think he was a sick fuck who was doing some really crazy things there, and I just think it was the classic. It's the classic story that we all see in the movies and that we think like, oh, I wonder if that's real, and it is, and it's just like these rich and powerful people that just can totally live above the law, and they have everybody in their pocket, and if they don't have someone in their pocket, they can get them in their pocket very easily, whether it's through the exploitation, the blackmail, the money, everything. And I just think, there's a lot of people that were involved that we still look at every day on the television or our phones, and that's why we didn't really get the real answers. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's crazy to think anything of that sort, which is just nuts because they give you like people will think that's conspiracy or whatever. I'm like, dude, it makes plenty of fucking sense.
It's not. They've left it wide open.
Yeah,
it's there for you can see it.
And that's what you're always supposed to do with something of that sort. You got to hide in plain sight. I mean, that's just like classic. That's textbook. Hide in plain sight.
He might have been in too plain sight though. Like, he was nuts. All he needed to do was get you in a room. Someone's got a camera. He got you.
Game, set, match, dude.
That's it.
Game, set, match.
That's it.
His property in Manhattan wasn't far from my college. So I seen
71st
it.
Street, right?
I seen it, yeah.
I was telling my friend Danny Jones when I was on his podcast, when I go back up to New York, I literally want to go stand outside that house. Like, I'm not a spiritual guy like that at all, but I literally want to stand there and just be like, how fucked up is this energy right now?
Dude, I couldn't agree more. Me and my buddy always say there's something about going somewhere, and we like to call it, we feel the ghosts. I like going somewhere and I like feeling the ghosts. Everyone who's been here, and it's strange. And yeah, you would think of all places, Jeffrey Epstein's house in New York City, but there's something to be said about going somewhere and feeling the energy and looking at it and just being like, damn. The person who used to walk out of this door every morning to get a coffee on the corner was literally one of the most powerful and most crazy and twisted men in the world.
It's not a stretch to say, especially for you, but it's not a stretch to say at all. You passed him on the street.
Probably.
You know,
probably.
It's like he was just walking among other people, and there's a lot of fucked up people who are less in plain sight, who you don't know what it is. But the crazy thing about New York is that it's such a historical place in so many different directions of good and bad.
Yeah.
But when you walk around, as it's one of my favorite things to do is walk through New York City.
Yeah.
Like, I don't fucking take cabs there. I don't take Ubers. I walk everywhere. Ask Mike Spear about that one. But like, you'll be walking around and you will pass things where incredible historic shit happened, and you will pass things where awful historic shit happened, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
Like, I think Michael Bloomberg, he like lived next door to where Saddam's Iraqis used to, like his sons or whatever, used to grab people illegally and go torture them in the basement and kill them. Yeah, it's like right next to the mayor.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude.
Like, that's a wild thing, but that's why New York is it's a different beast, because it's been the center of the world in so many ways.
Oh yeah. And dude, the beast that it is right now is insane.
Yeah, let's come back to Epstein later, because I definitely want to talk about that. But like, you've been there the whole time?
Yeah,
right?
Through the pandemic, all that. Yeah,
the whole thing. So
Yeah.
what's the vibe these days?
I mean, dude, it's just like, it is nuts. It feels lawless. I mean, that's the word that me and my friends kept saying when we were out last Monday. We were shooting some stuff in the streets, and like,
With an AK?
yeah, we were mowing, we were cleaning up the streets with an AK, I guess you could call it. But dude, just like, we were in the Lower East Side just shooting stuff, and we're like, we had to shoot in one location for like an hour and a half. So like, you know, the perfect example, you go anywhere in New York and you just sit on a corner for an hour, you can really see stuff happen. But like, the amount of things we saw happen, there was a guy riding on a city bike throwing rocks. Like, he had a bag of like rocks, and he was throwing them up high in the air, and they'd come hitting down on people. And we're just like watching all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, this city is hell. This city is descending into hell.
How does it
bad.
look, though?
You know, it looks good in some respect. I mean, you see the streets are full again. People are back. It's back for sure. New York is back. I mean, the moment I saw diarrhea on the steps of the subway coming up to work one morning, I'm like, New York is back, baby.
So they're not taking the time to shit in the actual mop bucket anymore.
But dude, even just like outside of like my job, I got threatened at knife point like 4 weeks ago for money.
Really?
And all I could say to the guy was like, chill out, dude. I was so like taken aback and nervous, and then I walked to like a traffic cop, Rajneesh, or it was something of that sort, and he was like, he had my back. But then
wait, hold on. You just walked away from the guy?
Yeah, because the traffic cop wasn't far, and he was just like, I don't.
So the guy, hold on, let's go back to the scene. Guy's got a knife
I'll
in your
walk you
face.
through it. I'll walk you through it.
How close is he?
I'm on lunch, okay,
This is broad daylight.
This is broad daylight. This
What
is
street?
this is another thing that, well, this is 34th and 7th, which I say Madison Square Garden to Port Authority should be that nuclear test site that you just showed. It needs to be condemned. It is a cesspool of just terror and garbage and hell and crack and feces.
Oh my God.
But I go to a TD Bank on lunch because I want to get cash out. I'm like, I just want to get like $2 slices. You know, I don't want to go spend a bunch on lunch today. I'm like, let me just get a $1 slice. And I see him watching me outside of the TD, and I'm like, I knew. I saw him, and I'm like, fuck, all right, well, we've been here before. And so I walk out. He's like, hey, man, can I have some money for food? And I'm like, no, I don't have any cash.
After just watching you get cash.
Nice. I stuck to my guns, and I'm walking, and I hear him behind me just like, fucking motherfucker, I'm fucking done with this. I'm done with this shit. I'm like, well, that's usually not a good sign, and he comes up to me, he like shoves me a bit, and he's like, yo.
Oh, he shoved it from behind.
He came up on the side, so he like shoved me from like here. And he's like, yo, I'm not playing anymore. I don't give a fuck about the police, nothing. Give me money or I'm gonna fucking stab you right now. And he pulls from pocket, and I'm like, I was so taken aback that I was in like a state of zen. I like look at him and I'm just like, chill out, dude. And,
good for you.
And dude, the best part is I start speed walking at this cop. He's clearly.
Oh, you didn't even run?
No. I speed walk. And
so he's just following you with the little fucking
No,
knife.
he's like kind of standing there now. He's like standing and looking like.
Oh, he was bluffing.
He was definitely bluffing. And he saw me going at the cop.
Yeah.
Dude, in a perfect world, I say chill out, dude. I should have been gutted. For guys, if he's really sticking to his guns and he's like, I'm going to stab you for this money, and I just say chill out, I should have been stabbed 30 times in the abdomen. But then what's crazy is that happens. A week later, stabbing right outside my office. Tape and everything. And then less than a week later.
Did they die?
I don't know.
Didn't
there was just trails of blood. No, I didn't get to see it. I came down on lunch.
I'm darkly laughing, by the way.
Oh, it's going to get better. Okay. And then less than a week later, like 5 days later, I saw I've never seen a crime scene in my life so crazy, but like across the street. This is all in the same area, across the street.
We're still by Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. They have all of, and I was on 36. I said 34th and 7th. That was 36th and 7th before.
There's usually a million cops there, though. I mean, you said the one was close.
Not really.
Wow,
there's
less.
Hang out. They're on their phones. A lot of them are traffic cops, which they're not actually cops. That's mall security.
Yeah, it's Mark Wahlberg and the other guy.
That's Kevin James and Paul Blart Mall cop.
Yeah,
and
step down.
But the other day, they had all of 37th Street between 7th and 8th Ave, the whole entire street shut down. The evidence cone that I saw on the corner next to a pile of blood, that was number 34. So that was just the one I could see. You look at the block, there was cones everywhere. What happened? 6:45 a.m. Two, crackheads get into it, and they get into a fight, and they both stabbed each other to death. Dead.
Oh, fuck.
On 37th.
It was crack on crack crime.
Crack on crack crime. Crack on crack crime. It's like a tongue twister almost. And dude, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, dude, this has only happened in 2 weeks in this one little area. This city is going to hell. It's not good. It's not good. And I think that it's only going to make way for like another like Giuliani type mayor to come in the future. I don't know. That might be a stretch, but like
I don't think so. This is
things
the way
have not
work.
been good. It's not been good.
We can never get a middle grounder, man.
No.
It goes from Giuliani to eventually DeBlasio, right? Like that's how society seems to, or stop and frisk Bloomberg to DeBlasio,
right? And
neither's right.
DeBlasio, you might as well have had a mango sitting at the desk, just a piece of fruit.
Did you watch his videos like during the pandemic?
Yeah, the hamburgers, the hamburgers. If you get vaccinated, oh, that's so good. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man.
Bro.
And then Adams, like everyone was like, oh, maybe this will work, but no, it didn't. It's not been working.
What's the deal there? I kind of liked him.
I liked him too, and I thought it was really funny because I remember like when he first got elected, he was out doing like a photo walk in I think it was Bushwick, Brooklyn, not far from me. And they were like at the subway station, and two people out in the street were getting into a fist fight. And so he stops, and they're not stopping the fight. He's like, we're going to show today like the power of the NYPD. He calls the cops to report it. It took them 23 minutes to get there. It's just like, dude, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. You can't make it up.
I am of the belief, though, that these days the mayor of New York calls zero shots. I really I don't think de Blasio's even smart enough to call a shot, and not to give him any credit whatsoever. But I'm like, they're telling them what to do. Someone's telling them what to do.
What's
with
been
this.
cracking me up is there's like a slew of videos on like Instagram of like people just running into him at like a bagel shop, and they're like, "Go fuck yourself, bro. You fucking suck. You ruined this fucking city, you cocksucking motherfucker." And he's like, "Have a good day. Have a good day." And they're like, "Go fuck yourself."
He's running for rep now.
I
don't know
know.
if you saw
I know. I mean, listen. I say all of this, but like, I love New York City. I love it there.
I do
you know?
too, man. I miss it so much.
All this filth. I feel like I'm like Charlie, and It's Always Sunny. I love the trash. You know.
Yeah, you live in the like you were
love
talking
it.
about with the authors. You live
Yeah.
in the misery of it.
Yeah, yeah. I honestly, dude, like I love being home in the burbs, but I can only stay for so long until I'm like I need a little chaos.
I'm so
and
with
I'm
you.
not some nut. I don't want to be in the knife fight, but I do want to watch from a block away across the street. Yeah, I want to, you know.
Well, you got a little close last time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's some, like, how many of those do you think you get? 5 before they finally pull the trigger?
Well, I stay strapped now, dude. So
Oh, you're
if
strapped.
they want to try me, your boy's gonna get them.
What are you strapped with?
I'm strapped. I got a little blade of sorts.
What kind of
I'm
blade?
not going to incriminate myself because it might not be up to standards with New York City law.
What are the New York City law standards?
It's your blade can't have a locking mechanism.
A what?
They already got me on that.
A locking? What does that even mean?
Like, you know, like if you like open the blade and it locks and then you have to like push the
Great, so carry around a machete. Problem solved.
well, the blade better be 4 inches or shorter because that machete would not be within ordinance either.
All I'm saying is, like, they took down those planes with box cutters. Damage can be done.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Damage
I
can
mean,
be done.
listen, it comes down to like if you're in a life or death situation. The only thing that sucks, man, is like, God forbid that did ever happen. I'm still going to jail. I'm still probably going to go to prison somehow. I don't know if that would get dismissed. It's a tough sell, which makes that's a part that makes me hate the city. Because then on the way down here, I pull into town and it says, "You're now in God's country. Don't drive through it like it's hell." And I'm like, these are the signs we need in our city, baby. You know?
Oh, dude, there's like, because like, I always say to people, if you look at the map of New Jersey, you ever seen the one where they rewrite all the segments?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, you're from New Jersey.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen this.
Oh, are you saying like they label? Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like they'll take one town in the south and be like pork roll, and then they'll be like, "Oh, what an idiot that guy is."
Yeah, where's
I know what you
Here
meant.
we go. All right, I got it pulled up. It's really small text, so I'm going to read it. I'll put it up on the screen there, and hopefully we can see it. Maybe you can read it better. But I always explain to people, you see what's the blue one say right there?
Zoom in on Chrome a little, like a little bit.
How
Hit us with a command plus. Little Google Lens. Yeah.
here we go.
That's exactly what we need.
Oh, fuck, we don't want that.
Are you kidding me?
What's going on here?
Is it because of Google Lens?
Wait. We're gonna refresh this page.
Yeah.
I swear I've done this before.
We're gonna get it,
We got it. All right, here we go.
folks. Blue Chew.
All right, so on the blue part.
What?
Oh, what do they do?
What are they doing?
Hold on, you got to open up the actual page.
Yeah.
That's what it
Go to
is.
the link.
We're gonna go to the. Now we're gonna zoom. Here we go.
All right, I already saw what it is. The blue area,
Yeah.
farms and army bases.
Yeah, which actually I forgot that's right there. They separate that and they put like the bottom hook of that. That's not right at all. Like that's not even
Do you
slightly
think
right
it falls
in here.
more into happy white families? you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there's basically like the heart of South Jersey outside Philadelphia is happy white families, besides worse than Detroit.
Yeah, by Camden.
But right here where we are from Center City, Philly, I do it in like 24 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. But we are on the top tip, like the tip is in
Almost pretty much Alabama.
of pretty much Alabama.
Wow.
So when people come here, I'm like, now if you drive 90 seconds that way, you're in civilization again. But this one stretch of road, you got a sign that's probably been there for 40 years that said, "Welcome to God's country." Then you got, dude, there's another one. This is my favorite one. There's a house that has like a giant, I don't even know. It's not even a banner. It's literally a log cabin, and the whole front lawn is just Trump won.
Oh, those are great, dude. Those are great. Stop the count.
Oh no, we got one. Oh boy.
No, dude, that's hilarious. But I will say though, like driving down, like it's nice. Like it really it's nice to just drive and just see some land.
Listen to some Bruce Springsteen.
I'm gonna be pulling over on the ride home, just sitting like for 10 minutes
sitting.
and just getting some of that. Yeah.
on the Jersey Turnpike.
No, not even like on the roads near your house, like these back roads. I'm gonna just pull over and just look at the field
You bring some sativa down with you,
a little
or something?
sativa, yeah,
Good.
a little
You guys-
sativa, and then
That was good. You're good.
we can
you
get
got a good. You got a good Sebastian.
My father only smokes sativa. Like, you don't smoke any indica? What the hell is going on?
That's good. I'm impressed.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna do that because it's nice, you know. It's obviously the thing that everyone says when you're at a place. Oh, I need to get out of the city for a weekend soon. I really need to get out soon. I've been saying that, and then they're at Mr. Purple, like go, you know. But it is true. I'm like, man, it's nice. It's nice.
It's definitely. I'm a city guy for sure, so I get a little sick of it.
Right.
I
So
can't wait
you're
to be
here
up
for
there.
a long time. So you're
Right.
like longer time. So you're like, I gotta get out. You know?
But I also don't leave the studio like in this current time period.
Well, yeah, because you're fucking grinding.
Yeah.
Dude.
So
Fucking
it's
grinding.
like but sometimes like I'll go to the food store and I'll look around and I'm like, I'm glad these people are all happy. Like I'm so happy for you. But I'm like, how the fuck do you do this? Right? How the fuck do you live here and like just do this?
Story of my motherfucking life, my friend.
Holy shit, man.
I'm working a job right now for the. So because of all the Scotland stuff that we'll get into later, but because of all of that, freelancing had slowed down with film and TV and all that, and I was like, you know what, I need to get something more full time, more steady, so I could really put some cheddar away for that big trip, and also the expenses that came along with the theater, all that stuff. And so I'm working this job right now, a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 job. And I sit in it every day and I look at everybody and the topic of conversation is, it's almost 5. A couple more hours, boys. And then at 5, it's, we did it, boys. We did it. And then the things that get looked forward to is happy hour on Fridays, going out on the weekends. And like, I just sit there, dude. And it's like, you hate to sound pretentious, but I'm like, guys, what the fuck are you doing? There's gotta be way more than this, you know?
Listen, I think,
and I don't hate, because if that makes you happy,
right,
dude, do it the fuck up.
Right.
It's just not for me.
There's a lot of people though who claim it makes them happy,
And it
in
doesn't,
reality
exactly.
they're living for that Friday at 5, and when it's done, they're like, I can't believe I gotta do it over.
Yeah, you know when it happens? It happens when they get home at like 12:30 that night, and
Yep.
they have that 20 minutes before they fall asleep when it's just them and their thoughts, and they're drunk or whatever, and it's just like,
Do I even like my wife anymore?
yeah,
Probably not. She probably doesn't like me either.
this job sucks.
Exactly.
I get another day of this, and then I'm back there Monday. I mean, I'm doing that now. I'm like sitting here with you today. I'm like, all right, we're going to crush this today. Have a great time. Drive back up, you know, to North Jersey, go back to the city. Then I'm like, fuck, I got to go do that bullshit tomorrow. The only difference is I get to look at it as like, all right, 4 more weeks of this, and then I'm performing every day.
Yeah,
in Scotland
you're funding your next life here.
Yeah, I have that thing, that light at the end of the tunnel where it's like these other people are just caught on this wheel, this gerbil wheel.
That's what it is. It's a hamster wheel.
Hamster wheel, yeah.
It's fucking, you know, like, I always thought, like, if I had gone into acting or something, I actually would have liked pieces of doing the waiting tables thing and stuff. Because it's a part of you're funding you're working a job where it's cash, part-time, and it pays high because you don't tell the government about it. And you're funding your dream. You're funding what you're doing. Like, that is a rush. But if I were just going there and I were just like, another day of waiting tables, and that's what it is.
It's sad. That's how I feel about it.
For me, it is.
For me, at least.
And maybe to other people,
yeah,
it's not. So I respect, like, I've only ever lived in my brain. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm respectful of it, but I do know, because I talk to people too, and they'll tell me that. Like, I do know so many people who are like, I can't believe I'm just a cog on the wheel, just doing this over and over and over again.
Corporate chill.
And I just want to say to them, but I don't, like, I'm not an advice guy. I mean, I'm an idiot, so you shouldn't listen to me. But like,
Same.
But like, I want to be like, listen, you can find a way. Like, just you have resources,
dude. It's just they just don't want to deal. People just don't want to deal with the discomfort. You know, like that's what it comes down to. But like, to your point, it's like you find some greatness in those moments of having to go wait tables because this is what you're doing. But it all goes back to adversity breeds greatness.
Yep.
This is George Clooney didn't stop waiting tables until he was fucking like 41 or 42 years old, dude. And then it worked.
How did they miss that, man? He is a good-looking dude.
But that's why it worked out the way it did.
I guess
they missed him for a long time, but whoa, when they found him, I
Danny
mean, dude,
fucking Ocean, baby.
look at him now. Look at
Yeah.
him now. And he's still a handsome motherfucker. It's like,
Some people are just gifted with that, man.
yeah, God bless.
Like, he gets better looking as he gets older.
I'm gonna need some celebrity ship to help me out, you know.
I know a few guys.
Get some veneers in my teeth, you know, get the you know, celebrity dermatologist guys.
Dude, I
Get on some TRT from the doctors.
I feel like such a basic bitch. I technically started.
What?
I had, because like I got to look at myself on camera, right?
Right.
And I'm already ugly, so I'm like, we're already working with nothing here. And I started to notice because the lighting, I got it a little brighter in here, and then I've just had hairs that grow like right here. So
You're just like,
I'm like, oh no, we can't have that. So
do you get it waxed?
Oh
or do
no,
you
no,
shave?
no! I did better. I called up my cousin Kim's place, right? And
Cousin Kim.
I'm like, listen, whatever you do with those laser beam shits, I need it on my face. She's like, got you. So I went to Ageless Skin and Beauty out there in Washington Township. Shout out. We're gonna send
Shout
Jim
out.
DeOrio there too to get his. He still shaves his head every day. I'm like, bro,
It's commitment, dude.
we're gonna laser the fuck out. of
Yeah,
it.
get
It's
it
gonna be all right.
done. Laser it.
But they take it out, you know. So
Yeah,
like now,
yeah.
now I'm back to like a soft 5. You
Good,
know?
yeah.
I went down to a 4. We saw the depths, and now we're back to a 5.
There adversity breeds greatness, all right?
and
You're
and the discount from Kim for the family.
When
deal.
you're finally a 10, you're going to look back on the days of being a hard 4 or a soft 5. You're going to be like, wow, look how far I've come.
I'm a 6 now.
Yeah, I'm a 6.
Fuck.
6.5. And I'm with a 10 because my net worth quintupled since 2019. So, you know.
You want to talk about happiness, though? Some of the people I used to see come into contact with at my old job, when I'd see the typical 55-year-old with the 25-year-old chick, I'm like, there's no way that Gucci is worth all that, honey. I know you don't love your life. I know you just take funny Instagrams and tell people it's great, but you don't love it.
Listen, I'm not a gay man, all right? But I could tell you this much. I can't imagine those old saggy balls hitting up against the backside being worth the Gucci purse. Take a breath. But seriously, I can't imagine it. Gucci's nice.
I think coffee just went through my nose.
Guzzler.
Guzzler. How does that conversation happen, by the way? You just have friends come up to you like, yo, I think I'm bi, bro, in college?
Well, dude, the college I went to, I was one of 35 straight men there.
Yeah, okay.
Be honest. I went to a really progressive college.
Where'd you
like,
go?
Marymount Manhattan College.
Oh, yeah,
Very
it's like
small school, like 1,800 people.
Yeah, it's like a literary...
I met a mutual friend there, Jordan.
Jordan Belfort?
No, Jordan Coop.
Oh, Jordan Aurora Coupe?
Yeah, Coupe. Yeah.
She went there?
She went there her freshman year. I was friends with her, and then she transferred because, you know, she was smart. She was like, I can't.
She went to Rowan. She went to Houston.
You want to know what the problem was with me? Is I went to Monmouth my freshman year, and I'm like, I got to get into the city and start chasing the film stuff. And so then I went there for film school.
Oh, you did it backwards.
But then I was there, and I'm like, listen, am I going to transfer again? Am I going to go through all that? And I'm like, no, not really.
It's a lot.
I was already in New York. The most important thing was being in New York.
Yes.
I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I never regret it because I made so many great connections, met so many great people. But, you know, it's a nice little running joke I get to have with myself of my school was a hell of a place.
Hell of a
Hell of a
place.
place.
Little, you stood out there.
Yeah.
It's always good.
But, you know, I'm also the kind of guy that, like, in all seriousness, like, I don't give a shit about any of that.
Of course.
Like, there were people I knew who were like, dude, I don't know how you do it. How do you even sit in the classroom and fix your ears? And I'm like, dude, it's like, I don't care. Who gives a fuck, dude?
More people need to be like that,
Yeah,
man.
the day I let that dictate my mood is the day you could put the bullet in the back of my head. Like, come on.
People get so bothered by it. And like I was saying earlier with some different stuff, like it's just reinforced by social media.
Right.
I get it. You know, we haven't...
One side or the other, like both extremes.
We have such an interesting audience of listeners here from across the political spectrum.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, there's even some who are strong left wing and some who are strong right wing. and I'll get some of the DMs from them, like sending me posts and stuff, and I'm just like, this is why you don't want your whole feed to look like this. Because even if they make a good point sometimes, I'm like, it ups the discourse, right? There's only so much I can do to speak in the third person. Julian Dorey is a podcaster, right? Like, I'm not here to change the world.
Right.
I control what I can control. I will talk about issues. Guests will come on here and talk about issues.
As you should.
Right. But it's not like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, we're going to war. Like, everybody now, to me, like, we haven't had a war where it's a draft in fucking 50 years. And so all these people, they've been growing up in the golden age of comfort and everything, and people talk like they want a war because men need war, right?
Yeah.
And so they turn their war into their social feed of, like, fucking Ben Shapiro talking to the Pod Save America guys. It's like, dude,
right.
Relax.
It's just like, dude, it drives you into a frenzy. You know, it'll drive you into a frenzy. My feed nowadays, it's prairie dogs and sea otters, and life has not been better since that. I might get a prairie dog soon.
Well, your Twitter feed's definitely not. Your Twitter feed's
My Twitter
funny.
feed is great.
Your Twitter feed's funny as fuck.
You know what?
If you are looking to search the web privately and not have all these websites track you when you leave, check out my friends over at Privado VPN. Privado is the VPN company that gives you full privacy while losing you no speed, and it allows you to use the product on up to 10 different devices at one time. We love that. So if you use the link in my description, you will go to my landing page with the company, and you'll see a plan there for $4.99 a month. It's the same one I use. Check it out. You're going to love it.
People always talk about how you got to put in work on building a following on Twitter. I say you got to put in work on creating the perfect feed, you know?
Yes, I agree.
Like, you know, something like a Jinx. You got to have some Jinx in there. I don't know if you're big on Jinx. You would love him. You would absolutely love Jinx. At Crack Connoisseur. That's his
Crack
at.
Connoisseur.
He
wasn't one of the two that
you just would
fell
love him
on the
because, like,
battlefield, was he?
No. He outlived that battle.
Okay.
You would love this guy because his content is hysterical, but it's so based in reality because it talks about, like, some of these real ass conspiracies. And I'm not talking like the crazy. I'm talking just like stuff like, you know, the meth use in Nazi Germany within the Nazi party, Hitler.
Yeah.
And he makes all these about history, but the videos are hysterical.
Is this it?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely not it. How do you spell it?
He might. I guess he must spell it in like a strange way.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Connoisseur? That's probably how it's spelled.
Jinx.
Oh, I've seen you like this guy's posts. Yeah.
And he just makes he makes some of the funniest content. It
Dude,
literally kills me.
Some of the videos people put on Twitter, I just start fucking crying. Like, the level of creativity that people have to, like, respond to shit is unbelievable.
Oh, dude.
But it's also, like, it makes things worse. I mean, I'm a hypocrite for liking it because, like, that's what people respond to. They respond to a quick bit of, like, 30 seconds of comedy that turns, like, the war in Ukraine into a meme. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck, man.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Literally, dude. And then, like, there's, like, people dying. Like, when you actually,
Literally.
you know. But, you know, that's a whole other thing. Like, how desensitized we are to everything. I know
Yes.
I have such a dark sense of humor that, like, it does bother it has bothered people. I think about, like, I'm like, dude, if I actually spoke up sometimes at my school about, like, some of the dark things I found funny, I would have probably caught a lot of flack.
Oh, yeah.
You'd
be dead in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, literally. But instead, you know.
You leaned into it yourself.
Nah, I didn't pander too hard. I might have pandered a little bit.
No, but you lean into it on your own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. On my own damn time, behind closed doors.
Well, I mean,
Just go in my room and start yelling slurs and stuff.
Listen,
No,
I
I'm
think
kidding.
I was gonna let that one pass, but
You
fuck.
didn't laugh at it, and I'm like, no, wait, that was a joke, guys. I don't do that.
I was like, are we gonna? All right, that was funny. We'll go with it. Sometimes I'm like, the lights take a second to go upstairs on my decision of laughing.
Yeah,
it is true. I do think
alright.
about it
It's the story
sometimes.
of my life.
I'm like, are we there? Okay, yeah, we're there.
Yeah, we're
it's
there.
a go. The applause sign's on. Let's
And
go.
then everyone's going through your filing cabinet in your brain, like in that episode of
Yes.
SpongeBob.
Yes. Wow, what a show. That
Great
show's
show.
still funny.
Yeah, I've been watching it a bit recently.
I haven't watched it in a long time, but like it's still. I'm like, as an adult, I can laugh at that.
Oh, dude, Patrick Starr, fucking one of the best.
Something.
Funny motherfucker.
Did you ever see the GIF of, I call it GIF or GIF, either
Yeah,
one.
GIF.
but
I'm a GIF guy too.
Whatever. I'm both. But you ever seen the one of Iron Man where Robert Downey Jr. is at the press conference and he says, I am the Iron Man or whatever, and it flips to the crowd of all the people taking pictures, and there's just Patrick Starr like this when it's
Yeah, those are great, dude. That was its own phase for like 2 months. Sorry, he was in everything.
Something else, man. What a fucking.
It's crazy that some of this stuff's still free. You know, I say it all the time.
The
I'll be like,
internet's
how is
free.
Twitter still free?
Yeah, and like you see.
Granted, they have like super follows and stuff now, so I guess it's not.
Yeah, what is
fully
that?
free.
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
I saw
don't
that.
know.
I'm like, I'm not clicking that.
Isn't it crazy the way just like everything, it always comes back. It's always going to just be about ads or like some sort of revenue.
It's a businessman.
He wants to make money. You know? They don't want you tweeting with your Twitter fingers.
What
free.
what do you think of Elon with this though?
It's such a dude. It's so funny because I've talked to people where like I ask them that question and I expect them to be like awesome, and they're like, I think it's terrible, and I'm like, wow, really? Where I stand, I mean, I'm into it. I think there's definitely going to be some cons. I think the way he's able to make a tide turn with the snap of a finger, that's something you do have to keep in mind. Even if you support the guy, because it's like, sure, you might support now, but what happens in 10 years, or if he's influenced by this or that? But overall, I mean, I think it'll be good. I mean, for like where it is now, the way free speech can get censored, I don't know. I try not to be one of those people that puts so much energy into thinking about it, even or coming on and just be like, we need to, But I do believe in free speech. So if that's going to help it, let's do it.
Well, that's the difference too. Like, there's the people who get self-righteous about everything in one direction or another, but like, it's an important conversation. Like, just to philosophize on it. My whole thing is like, I think Matt Kemenage, who's been on this podcast, asked me about it like the day after, and on the spot, like this was my response, and to this day, I think it was how I feel. I'm like, normally, in a normal world, if you told me that the on paper richest man in the world, we know Saudi Arabia has some richer people, but on paper, the richest man in the world bought a preeminent platform pillar of what is the public square, whether it was meant to be that way or not, it is. I'd be horrified.
Right.
And so in theory, I am horrified.
Right.
Then again, Jeff Bezos owns a newspaper. Carlos Slim, is it Carlos Slim owns the New York Times? Like, whatever it is. Like, all these people, Mark Zuckerberg controls technically, even though it's a public company, Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So, like, I guess, like, a bunch of wrongs can make a right, maybe, but not really. Like, we know that's not how it works over time. So I would be horrified. Instead, our world is so fucked up right now, where you have to end up defending people you don't want to defend, strictly for the problems of human nature, where slippery slopes lead things to happen that you don't intend when you do things like take away speech, that we are now at a point where it's like, well, I'm fucking glad a guy's taking it private. But I'm glad that you also say, like, all right, we're going to have to see what it is, because, as I've said before, I'm a fan of people. I'm a hype man of people.
Yeah.
I try not to be a fanboy of people.
Yeah.
Because when you do that, you have no ability to recognize right and wrong of what they do.
Yep.
So Elon's on the wall. Obviously, I admire the guy. I admire what he's done. He's here smoking a fucking joint
Yeah, I
right
see
there.
him
You know what
hitting
I
that.
mean? So I like that a lot. But like, he's now said some things. I'm gonna hold him to it.
Right.
Like that. Like, and if that means like he starts, like, by the way, the other day, maybe this was a couple weeks ago, I don't know, it all blends together, but he said something like he talked about how he's voting for Republicans and stuff, and I'm like, that wasn't smart, because now you're giving them what they want. Now you are
giving everyone
politicizing it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
just do it.
Just fucking do it.
Just do it and not make a headline out of
And
it.
don't talk shit on everyone about it, because you're supposed to be the bastion of free speech. That's why you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
So
be
like
a
when
centrist.
Right. When I see stuff like that, yeah, I am going to call him out for it. But, if it ends up going through, which that's a whole nother thing too, but like, if it does, it's certainly, Twitter got to a place where they had nothing but themselves to blame.
Yep. Yeah, man. I don't know. Even just like the first point you made of like looking at it from like the simplest way of looking at it is, on paper, the richest man in the world is purchasing the public square.
Right.
And that's definitely something to be worried about.
My friend Danny just had on a guy. I think the episode's coming out, or maybe it came out. I don't know. I gotta go look. But he just had on this dude Barrett something. If you Google
Barrett 50 cal.
No, the Intercept Barrett. If you Google,
Okay.
if people out there listening Google that, he'll come up. He's a wild child. Like, he's definitely crazy. But he was a reporter who was thrown in prison for 5 years, for 3, 4, 5 years, for leaking. What's George Friedman's tech company, like his oversight company? I forget what it's called. I'll look it up in a minute.
Yeah, I'm not
not
sure.
Palantir, which is Peter Thiel, but there's another one, another big one that like is spying on people and shit. And he leaked a bunch of documents from it, and then went to jail. And he was then a reporter for The Intercept, but he's a huge drug addict, like openly does heroin and stuff like he's had a lot of problems. But he's talking about all this, and he's, of course, like, fuck all these people, fuck Elon Musk and everything. But one thing he said is, like, he hates Peter Thiel. Hates him. And he's like, Peter Thiel is, Danny was telling me about this, so I hope this is exactly like I heard it right. But Peter Thiel is behind anything, like, that Elon's doing. And I think that's an important point, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, yes, on paper, can Elon afford to pay for this how he has? But I haven't done the deep dive on what he said in the proper disclosure documents. I wonder how much money is being siphoned into him by, like, Peter Thiel, who did convince him to do this.
And there you go. And there that's a new problem created, is now it's not just Elon.
Right. And Peter
It's not
Thiel
just
is
Elon.
very open. Like, he's more of a right-wing guy. You know, he donates to all those causes and stuff. But then he's also, like, he's running a company that spies on everybody.
Yeah.
Scary,
Yeah.
you know? I just, we're going to have to see it play out like anything else. It's like we make things old in 2 minutes. The war in Ukraine was old 3 weeks into the fighting. Yet
Yeah.
wars usually last 5-10 years.
That's why, you know, when it's all said and done, we'll just hop on Truth Social. You know? That's what
Is that the worst name of a platform you've ever seen in your life?
It's just such like that's such a vintage Trump idea. Cracks me up.
If I hypothetically were a foreign entity who wanted to sow discord in the United States, and I wanted to either knowingly or actually, let's say unknowingly, use different politicians, let's say all the big ones, as assets.
Yeah.
I would take a guy like Trump and I would say, you are going to trademark the word truth. Truth is now going to be a right-wing idea because you are going to put it at the center of what you say and do, and now people are going to look at the word truth, like
kind
the
of
word,
is, dude.
and be like, oh no, that must be some false rumor shit because it's a Trump word.
Yeah, but it's kind of becoming like that. It kind of is becoming like that.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's strange. Like the idea of the search for truth is becoming almost like associated with like conspiracy theories, right wing, alt right, Pepe the Frog. You know,
Some of that's running out though, because I'm keeping track of the math at home in my head. I'm not too smart, but you know, by my math, that means that 97% of society is like all right wingers now.
yeah, you think so?
Because anyone who questions a goddamn thing, right winger.
Oh well, yeah.
The only people
Yeah.
not questioning anything are the same 10 people with a blue check mark on Twitter who are at the top of the feed every time something's trending.
Right. No, that's the best way to put it. Then, yeah, everyone's majority is literally a right winger. Then, by that definition.
I mean, they went to cancel J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
They went to cancel Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky.
I plan on
Right winger.
when I'm in Edinburgh. I plan on going to the coffee shop where J.K. Rowling wrote the first Harry Potter, and I plan on standing outside of it and protesting. That's what I'm going to be doing.
Are you gonna have a broomstick?
Yeah,
You're gonna be sitting on a
I'm
broomstick?
between I'm gonna be like swinging it back and forth and be like, "Get out of Edinburgh."
You have those rounded glasses
Yeah.
too. You put a little scar on your forehead.
Yeah, I'm gonna be doing it like in a mirror, and it's gonna be backwards, and it's gonna somehow be a swastika, and then they're gonna be like, "What the
no.
fuck? He's Charles Manson."
Fuck. Who also might have been a CIA asset.
Oh, I totally buy into that, dude. I read Helter Skelter and then like started watching like some videos on it. I'm like, totally could have been a psyop.
Did you hear that Rogan podcast like a couple years ago with the guy Tom Green?
Tom Green. No, I don't think so. I might have seen it like back then. That was like 2016.
No. This was like it was. I think it was at the beginning of the pandemic. The guy, is it Tom Green or Tom? I probably fucked up the last name, but he wrote the book Chaos about the Manson thing.
I know what you're talking about. I watched like 45 minutes of that.
Dude, that podcast was unbelievable, and I read the book after.
Yeah, I want to read that. That's on my list, Chaos.
I'm like, if 50% of this is true, holy shit. But, I mean, his reporting, he took, for people that don't know his background, the guy took 20 years to do an unexpected book and actually lost he was worth no money, he was like on food stamps almost, but this story, it was supposed to be a little piece reflecting in 1999 on the 30-year anniversary of the Manson murders. And then as he started to interview some people, he fell into some shit. And he was like, wait a second, what do you mean by that? And then it became this whole thing, and he, very long story short, uncovered a lot of the ties between MKUltra, the CIA, and Manson, and also the fact that, like, the prosecutor Vince Bugliosi, it was one of those times where they did get the guy responsible, like the result of the main guy in the trial. They sent him to jail. He did all this shit. Right. Absolutely true, but the way he did it covered up for everyone else who was involved. So he got a result. Sounds very familiar.
Mr. Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, he got the same result. Or he got the desired result for the headline, and he got the right result at the top of the food chain, but he actually made a not fully, but very false case, and then also covered up all the other people.
Nuts, dude. I mean, dude, I haven't gotten like super deep into MKUltra. I've touched the surface. I did find a lot of the Jim Morrison stuff very interesting with his father. His father had ties with the CIA.
I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Explain that.
His father had ties high up in either the CIA or the FBI. It's got to be the CIA. And this whole thing of like Jim Morrison manipulating the hippie movement and the music of the Doors feeding into all of the MKUltra stuff. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to. Everyone gives me new rabbit holes to go down.
Don't take my word for it, but
do the research yourself.
Do the research yourself, guys.
That's fucking like. Do you ever think about like if they came up with some of the mind control chants or whatever? Like, oh, if we put this sequence of notes together with these words, we can get people to do things. And then you think about music, and you're like, oh my god. Was Jimi Hendrix in the CIA?
Yeah, dude, all of that stuff. Think about it. The hippie movement was such a quintessential part of all that. The way people were being influenced by lyrics and the performers of our time, you know,
and drugs,
a lot of drugs, LSD, you know,
which the CIA was studying.
Exactly. So that's why it's like it makes sense. It makes sense.
This whole thing though, where people are like trying to. Like, I've had one or two people on here who were coming on for something else, and then they turn out to be, like, also big-time...
MKUltra experts or something?
Not even that. They're, like, big-time libertarians. And I'm like, okay, all right, here we go. And they start talking about it, and the one question I have is everyone wants to talk about, they're making us all communists! And I'm like, all right, well, I don't agree with that, but I do see, like, some poor societal trends that are control-based trends.
Yeah.
And when I look at it from the element of the fact that these same people are also yelling, like, the CIA is behind all of it, I then ask the question, I'm like, if there's one thing we do know about the CIA, it's that their literal existence has been founded on anti-communism. Like, they're fascism. That's what they want.
Right.
So, like, what are they really doing here? If they're putting out your quote-unquote communist principles and like trying to infect with the mind virus and all that and get people to be like all egalitarian on everything no matter what and cancel the people who aren't, is it really just to then push everyone hard the other way so that then they run the government through that, like through the other end of it, like a right-wing type thing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I were a spy doing some deep spy shit, I'd be like, watch these motherfuckers. They're all going to like say all this shit and talk about how there's no such thing as a gender. It's going to turn off enough people over time and boom, now we're back in.
That's very, very, very valid point of thinking. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Maybe when New York's underwater. Yeah. They're building. Do you know about that?
But I got to ask you this first.
Huh.
Now you need to answer this honestly.
All right.
All right. You saw an inconvenient. Yeah, hold your hand up. Right-handed guy. You saw an inconvenient truth.
As you
right?
have the OJ shirt on. That's good.
I have the gloves
That's
out.
good.
You know what I mean? You saw the inconvenient truth, or An Inconvenient Truth, the documentary Al Gore did in 2007.
Right. Yeah.
I believe he said I wrote my like 6th grade paper on that. I believe he pointed at the map and showed like clicked a button, you know, like turned to the audience for effect, and he's like, "That's Manhattan." Clicks it. That's Manhattan in 2012, and that's water. And I look at that, and this is part of the reason why now there's a lot of people who are like total climate change deniers, because they're like, none of this happened. But I'm like, in 2012, technically for like 3 days, was Manhattan not underwater?
Sandy.
Admit it. You admitted it. It's true.
It's true.
It was.
It's true.
The point is, it's bullshit because it wasn't.
Well, yeah, but now they're building land off of like, I want to say it's like near like the Staten Island Ferry. I always forget. Is that Battery Park? I think that's Battery Park. They're building land on water. They're going to extend the island down more as like a way to combat. Because like downtown Manhattan financial district is what would get hit first if this were to happen. Like that's the first place that's going to get wiped out. And so they're building... I'm not doing it justice, but they're building land on the tip of Manhattan towards that way, towards the Statue of Liberty.
Manhattan.
And they're going to, as a way to combat that. So that'll be a nice little bustling community.
Let's see what it is. Like, how much space are we talking? Dezeen? Have you ever even heard of that? Is that like a real source? Manhattan Island extension could provide homes for 250,000 people.
Yeah, the way it would come off the southern tip near the financial district.
But this is from January 2022. It's talking about someone proposing it. They're already doing it?
No, I don't know. I don't think they're already doing it.
Okay.
I think this is green lit though.
That's the fastest anything's ever been green lit in New York in my fucking life.
Yeah, well,
4 months.
go figure.
Rutgers professor Jason Barr has proposed adding 1,760 acres of reclaimed land named New Manhattan to the tip of Manhattan to provide housing and combat climate change. Called New... Oh, he wants to name it as a separate neighborhood.
No, New Manhattan.
Manhattan?
Manhattan, in reference to the
God.
indigenous name.
Oh,
yeah, I just got a new place in New Manhattan, actually. Yeah, our Whole Foods... We're just doing it for like the indigenous people, you know?
This is, but like if you want to piss off all the people in central fucking United States, name it New Manhattan and say that's why.
It's just like, once again, it just doesn't get any better than this. You just can't make it up. And you know, it's going to be like streets paved with gold, a Whole Foods on every corner, a yoga place, a hot yoga. And you're going to go there and you're going to be like, if this is where we're headed, we're done, you know? It's nuts. It's already enough with Soho, and now, like, I'm a Soho girl. I'm a New Manhattan girl. And she's going to be wearing, like, indigenous tribal garb, and you're going to be like, well, that's not right. That's kind of cultural appropriation. Yeah, but it's, like, for the indigenous. Like, this is our community. I donate $600 a year to the indigenous people.
Oh, no. I think a lot of people do cultural appropriation by calling out cultural appropriation.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They'd like dig themselves the hole because they find it in things that aren't. So it's like, well, who's really culturally appropriating here? Because you're the one taking ownership of it, and you're some fucking white dude.
Well, did you see the clip of Chet Hanks on I think Ziwe, her show?
Incredible,
hysterical, amazing.
Can we pull that up?
Yeah.
I don't know if we're allowed to play that.
He was cracking me up.
It may be protected content. So if you hear a little break, just go check this out. But type in Chet Hanks Ziwe, Ziwe, and you'll see the clip where he was doing the patois. That is a man. I will say this about Chet Hanks: he does have no shame, and I respect it.
I respect that.
I respect it a
and
lot.
He's a pisser, man. He is a fucking pisser. I honestly, I'll put it out here in public. I don't care. Chastise me. I hope to see him do something more in entertainment.
Fucking incredible.
He's pretty funny. He was in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Was he really?
Yeah, the episode where Jeff's daughter Susie, which is or not Susie, I forgot, Sammy. She's married. She's like dating a vet, and Larry doesn't thank him for his service.
Oh, that was Chet Hanks.
And Susie's like, "Are you fucking kidding me, Larry?"
No, that was Chet Hanks.
Yeah, you don't thank him for his fucking service, Larry. You bald fuck.
What a show.
Oh my God, what a show.
Fucking show. All right,
What a fucking show.
Let's see if we can play this real quick. And again, if you don't hear it, we'll be back right after. Dude, I gotta tell you, she does a way different model than I would ever do, but she is just fucking, like, I saw these clips maybe like a month and a half ago. I found the one with Charlemagne that came up, and I'm like, what is this? And the studio is obviously like glitzy and glammy, and I'm watching it, I'm like, she's good, man.
Dude, is that the one where he compares himself to Martin Luther King? Is that the one you talked with Charlemagne?
I definitely watched one where she asked him about that. She's like, "You've compared yourself to Martin Luther King." It's like, hold on a minute, man. I did not. I don't want to see people bring this up. And I'm listening to him like, oh shit, she's coming for all this mode. But she went with the one. The first one I saw was she's like, "You've been an enemy of black women everywhere. You get in fights with all of them. Do you think that has to do with something in your childhood or something like that?" I'm like, fuck. And then it's funny, and you're like, oh, okay. I guess it's on,
she
like,
went after
Showtime?
Hannibal too on his episode, like about how he's a landlord or something.
Oh, with the sunglasses?
Yeah.
Oh, that was hysterical.
And she's just like, yeah. So do you like being a landlord and fucking people over? It was something like along those lines. And he's like, well, I don't technically own property, because like when you're dead, property's still there. And it's not going anywhere.
I'm just renting it.
Yeah.
And then he put on this. He put on the sunglasses, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I knew what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
And so if I just put on these here sunglasses, I'm gonna block out everything, close my eyes, and not be affected by this entire situation."
Yeah. I was like, that's good. I almost wore my sunglasses for this because of that. I was like, could have stayed,
You should
would have been like Gunnar or Quavo up in here.
I had Beck Lover in here. That guy walked in here with some fucking mirrors on.
Wow.
It actually affected the lighting.
Did he never take them off?
He took them off after about 14 minutes.
Okay.
But they were like, he's already got a big head.
Yeah.
Huge head. But then like the fucking sunglasses are like half his face. And I'm like, I don't know if those will ever be topped in here.
Yeah,
You
dude.
might win already.
You're going to have to get some real, like, more funky characters in here to try and beat that.
It's fucking nuts. You know who's actually like really funky though? Who I've been just so into lately?
Who?
I'm fantasizing about her.
Who? Sing it.
Come on.
Dua Lipa.
No.
Doja Cat. I don't know. You can throw me a bone here, bud.
Amber Heard.
Oh, Amber, baby.
Bro. She can shit on my bed.
Baby, come shit in my sheets, girl. Damn, she nice. I was saying the other day, I was like, it's funny because she lost the trial.
She did lose.
She is being awarded $2 million. That's
15-2.
Yeah. But that's literally what they say when they talk about like a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Well,
if you're CNN, that's what they wrote in the headline.
Did they?
They were both found liable.
Oh.
That was their headline.
That's good.
The Johnny Depp and Amber Heard jury has come back, and they found both Depp and Heard liable. And they didn't say like
it's crazy.
15-2.
Yeah, they didn't want to mention that. What I don't get is so they're going to be definitely appealing it, which, no surprise. But I saw a picture, and it definitely could have been like fake, but I saw a picture and it was like of her net worth, and it was like $2.5 million.
Yeah,
it's got to be fake.
I heard it was like 7. I saw the same one you're talking about. I heard it's like 7 or 8, but I also am like, because they don't release the contracts that actors and actresses make. We just find out about it sometimes.
Right.
Like we found out that Leo made $50 million.
Right.
But like, she is a star. She's not like A list, but like she's a star. I gotta think, like, if you look at her IMDb, she had to be making several million.
I saw that when I saw 2.5. I'm like, that can't be real.
And
Could
she
it?
got 7 from Johnny.
Yeah.
In the separation. I'm like, what are you spending your fucking money on?
Yeah, exactly. And she's not even paying $15 million. It comes out to like 10.4.
Well, because the judge legally, the jury awarded her more than was legally allowed for one of them.
It's great, dude.
Or awarded him that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still like they were saying it's more than her net worth. But then other people were telling me, they're like, oh, she'll just file for bankruptcy and she'll be fine.
Like, how does bankruptcy work? I have no idea how bankruptcy works.
Yeah, dude. It sounds like a nice, easy way out, dude.
It sounds incredible.
You just get a fresh slate. I might file soon.
I might file too.
I might file soon, dude.
It sounds like you get money from it.
You got your equipment, you got your setup, file, and now start fresh. But you got your stuff, so now you can like start on top.
I think the biggest racket though is that like great bankruptcy attorneys make a lot of fucking money.
Oh yeah.
From where?
Yeah.
like if I'm one of the creditors and I'm in court, I'm like, how much you paying this fucking guy from Aiken Gump?
Yeah.
Whatever.
How do they? Yeah, exactly, dude. It's craziness.
I have a distant relative who's like a high-powered bankruptcy attorney in New York, and I'm just like, you're really rich. Like,
yeah.
That's someone else's money.
Yeah, that's the money that they probably should have been paying these creditors. But that's pretty cool.
What did you think of that whole trial, though?
I mean, we made a sketch about it. It was definitely one of those things. They're both guilty. Obviously they're both guilty. I mean, all you had to hear was Johnny's. Did you hear that one clip where he just like goes? It's like the text message.
Oh, it's the best text message I've ever read.
Dude,
she was my place for cum and
dude,
nothing more.
Oh my god, like I fucking almost shit myself. I thought it was so funny. But it was one of those things where I was like, I'm glad he won.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was a lot less
It's weird
guilty
because when it was happening, no one seemed to be supporting her. Like, I remember before Dan Carney and I made that sketch, we did a deep dive on Twitter and we're like, let's gauge what people are thinking about this. Because we were worried we would make it, a week would go by, some crazy shit would come out, and then it would just be everyone being Team Amber. But then when you go on Twitter, it was like 100 people were for Johnny, 2 were for Amber. And then the trial ended, and I've seen so much more stuff now being like, what this means for like women, what this does to like our movement, like almost saying that she got robbed. And I was so confused. I'm like, wait, when this was going on, it seemed like everyone was like, fuck this bitch.
Because it's a team thing.
Exactly. But I don't know. I was blown away by that. Didn't make sense.
You can literally write their tweets for them. You know what's going to be coming.
Yeah.
You know what they're going to say. You know how they're going to say it. It's standing in solidarity no matter what. And it's like, yeah, he clearly, I think she sent him crazy because she's a nut job and an awful person.
Right. He definitely did things he shouldn't have done.
Right.
I think we all can agree on that.
But a lot less. And I think he was driven. It was a defense mechanism more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I remember even like during the trial, the Independent shared this one op-ed literally like 20 times like in the month. And I remember I was looking at it, I'm like, dude, you guys fucking shared this article 3 days ago, and the first reply tweet is like, how many more times do you guys plan on doing this article? Because it was like, opinion, why everyone is supporting Johnny instead of Amber. And then it was obviously going at everyone who supports Johnny, but they were like almost pushing it. Like it was almost 3 weeks old at one point, and they were publishing it on Twitter as if it was, a new article from that day.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
They know exactly what they're doing, and people fall for it every time because they click it. Mm-hmm. They click it.
It's
and then they sell ads.
Yeah. Dude, it's like the classic thing, and the amount of times I've been on Facebook and someone from my hometown shared some bullshit and it happened 3 years ago, like the date on the article. It's like 3 years old.
Yeah, this was that text.
Oh my god!
I just found this is hilarious. This is from Johnny Depp to Amber Heard. If you haven't heard this, it was August 2016. She's begging for total global humiliation. She's gonna get it. I'm gonna need your text about San Francisco, brother. I'm even sorry to ask. But she sucked Mullis' crooked dick, and he gave her some shitty lawyers. I have no mercy, no fear, and not an ounce of emotion, or what I once thought was love for this gold-digging, low-level, dime-a-dozen, mushy, pointless, dangling, overused, flappy fish mark. I'm so fucking happy she wants to go to fight this out. She will hit... What does that say?
She will hit the wall
hard. There's a lot of exclamation points too. That's the one thing.
He's fucking jacked up.
And I can't. He's probably on a lot of coke.
Fired up.
And I can.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait to have this waste of a cum guzzler out of my life. A sublime little Russian. I'd met a fucking sublime little Russian here.
right, I can't even keep doing this. But like, we all know what it's like to send like that.
I want her replaced on that Warner Brothers film. She's like, you know what? Fuck this. You know what? Fuck her. She's done. Oh man. God. We're gonna catch flack for that clip, dude.
Yeah,
don't post that clip of
who
the two
the
guys
fuck
laughing
cares?
at that text message.
It's hysterical because you know what it's like. There's a huge difference between doing things and taking out your oxytocin or whatever dopamine
Right.
on an angry text to a friend where you say all the worst and most creative shit you can possibly say, which is essentially what he did there. And he talks like a creative actor.
Yeah, she wants to take all my money.
Why say like fuck this bitch when you can say I will leave her out to pasture
this
like the
cum guzzling
guzzler.
floppy fish market? Like floppy fish market. That was good. That was good, John. He's clearly an artist.
Why did we not get James Franco in this trial? That's what I want to know.
Dude, yeah, James Franco, he's done.
That would have sent some
I was,
fireworks.
I got to tell you, man, when the whole James Franco thing happened, I was a little bothered to see how quick Seth Rogen, was done with them.
What did he do?
I think, see, again, here we go. I think he made like some crazy sexual advances and was having sexual relations with a student
Oh, because he's a professor at NYU, right?
at NYU.
Is he still a professor?
That's another thing too. Apparently, he stole the disaster artist from a student. Like that's what I've heard. I've heard that script was submitted in his class, and he kind of took it. And I don't know if he didn't, if he compensated or like didn't properly compensate. That's I've heard that a lot. But I was just taken aback because it's like Seth Rogen had done so much with them and they were so close. Not saying he should have been out supporting him, but he was just like, yeah, fuck him. I'm never working with him ever again. I don't like him. Never blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, damn, son.
Yeah, that was fast. But I thought there might have been something with like underage girls
Let's
too.
go, James Franco. I just love that part from, I don't even remember what movie.
Was that a Mike Myers movie?
No. Fuck, I can't remember. It's the guy who plays Mr. Chang in The Hangover. His name's escaping me. Ken something.
Oh, Ken Young.
Ken Young.
Yeah.
And he has the pet duck. It's from Ted. That's what it's from.
Oh, that's
Let's go, James Franco.
all right. So I guess he did a podcast talking about this somewhat recently, December 2021. I'm gonna have to check that out.
A few days, day before Christmas Eve. What a gift.
Yeah, I know what you mean about friends abandoning, but it's also like
It was a smart career. I mean,
not even just that. Forget the career. It's just like if it had, I gotta remember what some of it was because I'm not sure. But I think if some of it had to do with like underage girls and stuff, I mean, what are you gonna do?
No, for sure. You don't want to be associated with that.
And this is why I think Epstein was.
He set the bar, man. He really set the bar, that guy. Christ.
If you're sitting in a room, whoever you are, you're the people who are going to end up handling Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not saying where you're from or what. We don't know. If you're sitting in a room and you're writing down, like for whatever reason, you come up with this whole idea that you need to be able to get leverage on people, which is everything, but you need to be able to blackmail people,
Life is
powerful
leverage.
people
Yep.
across culture. You're sitting around and you're going, what is the one thing that absolutely nobody can come back from once the veil is pulled? And someone in that room raises their hand and goes, fuck a kid.
Let's get him to fuck kids.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, let's create a figure who's known for this too.
Someone got a promotion for that one. One of the intern that said, listen, if I speak up right now and they don't like this, I'm going to get fired. But I believe so strongly in this idea. He raises his hand. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Have them fuck kids. Get the fuck out of here. No. Sit back down. What did you just say? We get him to fuck kids. We get blackmail of them fucking kids. What? Who's this guy? Oh, this is Jim. He's the new mailroom guy. Jim,
you're now the director of clandestine operations.
Jim, you're gonna have a future at this company, son. Did we get you a car yet? Did we get him a company? Get him a Maserati Ghibli. You got a future here, kid.
Oh my God.
But you're right. That's literally like, that's probably how it's just like, what's the best way? You're not bouncing back from that.
Dude, he died less than 3 years ago, and the trial of Ghislaine was 6 months ago, and we already forget.
Oh, dude.
Society is already, it's not even that we forget. It's still there, and people post memes and say, oh, yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And, like, that's it.
I mean, embarrassingly enough, when you just said it was 6 months ago, I, like, in my head, I'm like, oh, wow. I thought it was like a year and a half ago now. I mean, it just goes to show you.
Everything feels that way. Everything feels like a long time ago. But it's just like the compartmentalization that we are willing to accept in this social feed era where there's always something new.
Saturated as fuck, man.
Yeah. I mean, I even saw it like, we're what, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out from that shooting or whatever.
What, the one in Texas?
One, which is awful. And like, it was round the clock coverage for 4 or 5 days.
There was one in Philly yesterday. Did you see that?
Yeah. Now there's
South Street, right?
There's another one, but we've already like forgotten about that. And
Yeah,
like,
that
come
shit's
on.
crazy, bro.
It's nuts.
It's crazy. The information age. I'll just keep saying ideas.
No, it's like it's the we don't know how to live without it, but we know it's like killing us.
Yeah.
And none of us can do anything, and so we don't. Myself included.
Yeah, we're like the guy who had me at knife point and, Madison Square Garden. He's like, I know I shouldn't be doing this much dope every day, but God, I can't live without it,
And that's like, I mean, you see the videos coming out of like New York or any of the big cities where there was like, they pulled back too much on the cops and everything. I look at it and I go, people have been left so hopeless from the effects of this pandemic, which we don't talk about enough, like the downstream economic effects that happened, that they went crazy.
Oh, for sure, dude. For sure. Even on the craziest micro level of just talking to one of your buddies, throughout all of it and being like, damn, bro, he's kind of off the deep end a little bit.
Yeah.
You're doing what tomorrow? January 6th, where are you going? What? What are you doing, dude? What the hell's going on?
People feel like they got to be a part of something, but they get infected with the idea that whatever it is, that's what they are, and then it defines them, and it happens all the way down at like crime too. I was looking, I think it was from your Twitter probably, but I was looking at a video a couple days ago of some guy on the subway just like grabbing people and shit.
That had me in a fucking knot, dude. That had me livid. Because it's crazy, dude. People talk so much and say, "Oh, we gotta help each other out." Blah 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 blah. Dude, the crackhead comes on the train and starts grabbing this woman's hair, not letting go, and she's literally like, "Help me! Can someone help me?" And everyone's just standing there recording it. It's like, dude, cold clock that motherfucker.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not well.
Right.
Like, that person, It's not just like, oh, he's high on crack right now.
Yeah.
It's more
It's
than
like
that.
It's like he needs to be institutionalized.
Yeah. And it's like there's such a, and we see it in everything.
Honestly, you know what? Now that I think about it, I think that it might have been a woman actually in that video.
That was the other thing, because I thought it might be like a cross-dresser.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, because it's hard to tell, but like either way.
That's what they're calling them nowadays, bro. No, I'm kidding.
What was the subway, NYC?
Yeah, dude. Even last week there was a bad fucking stabbing in the upper. Actually, dude, fuck it. This past week, a 16-year-old girl got stabbed in the back in broad daylight in New York City, and then like a few days before, someone in like the Upper East Side got stabbed in broad daylight too. And the pictures from the CCTV camera, it literally is like something out of a horror movie. It's some guy like dressed all black with a hood on, and just like the picture is him winding back.
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah,
it was on like New York Post. It's like, dude, what?
Just running around stabbing people.
What is going on?
No, there's always been crazy people, and there hasn't
New York
always,
City especially.
Yeah,
sure.
There hasn't always been video like we have it now, but still, like the rate that you're seeing some of this stuff, like you know,
It's every other day, dude.
Yeah.
It's every other day. You want to know one thing I still haven't done since living in New York, and I'm probably not going to do it? I have not downloaded the Citizens app.
what the fuck is that?
So Citizens app is an app you can download, and it's like Waze, where it's like open source. Like people have to report XYZ to see it, but it basically reports crime, emergencies, anything in your immediate area. So you'll get a notification, man stabbed 1,000 feet away from you, or like man
like a
stabbed,
traffic pattern.
dude. So it's like that, and dude, like I have buddies who have it, and they're like, dude, I have been sitting in my apartment, and it says man gunned down 200 feet away from you, and they're like looking out the window and see like cops, you know, or like lights flash, and they're like, what the fuck, like. And so I'm like, yeah, I don't need that. I don't need that. Man stabbed to death 16 times, 7 feet away from you, and I like open the door of my apartment. Guy laying there, you know.
It's fucking scary, man.
Yeah.
I just like, you know.
Greatest city in the world.
Yeah, but it's a lot of places with heavy populations, because the biggest myth that's ever been sold to the people of the United States and the people of the world is that the stock market equals the economy for everybody.
Yeah.
That is not, maybe
Yeah.
it was. Maybe you could make that argument in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'll buy it. But like ever since we got to exponential rates of creation with the internet, especially since then, that's why the wealth gap splits so much, because when you see that chart, and you'll even hear rich people talking about losing so much money in 08, 09, but a lot of them had enough that they were able to get it back, because when you see the chart go down in that V, even if they sold stupidly, they saw a lot of that upside because they had assets to gain. The people who lost their 401k in that V and sold everything, they got nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't invest. They didn't get any of that. So
Nope.
all this recovery, like taking money to make money, talk about that all the time, like people get left behind with it. So the pandemic happens, you see that hard V,
Yeah.
right? And you just assume like, oh, everyone's okay. Well, the only people who are okay are the people who are actually collecting, of like working class society, were the people who were actually collecting the unemployment benefits they got, which were great, but it's still capped.
Yeah.
Right? So everyone else is
Money
getting
printer
rich.
go brr.
Yes. And the inflation, and everyone else is getting rich. You know, the people can invest in tech while this goes on. And something like, now that we're over 2 years past it, I'm starting to realize, like now 2019, it was always distant. Like within 6 months of the pandemic, it was distant. But now it feels like a different era, like of people, like how people react. Like even when social media was nuts, like especially during the Trump presidency and everything, because the guy said something new every day, there was a level of sanity on a broad scale that still at least existed. I'm not saying it was flourishing, but it existed.
But it was there.
Now,
Yeah.
people being in their own little pods, you know, like if I just sat here and I was building something else and I didn't talk with people for a fucking living and do nothing but listen to people.
You would have went nuts.
Oh, I would have gone. I'm not above that. Who the fuck am I to say I'm above that? I would have gone nuts,
Dude,
bro.
I am beyond grateful that at that time I was living in a 6-bedroom apartment with just a bunch of people. Like that was the one thing I never had to deal with. That there was 3 of them left to go back home just because of the expense and everything, which totally understandable. But it was me and 2 other roommates, good friends, and it was just like, man, thank God. Thank fucking God. Because then talking to other people who are just same shit every day, alone in a studio apartment, it's like, oh my God, dude, I would have went nuts. I was living in a 2-floor brownstone with people. You know, we had a giant living room, a backyard, a roof. I was moving around. I'm like, I was grateful for that shit.
Yeah, because you can bounce ideas off and feel them out with each other, as opposed to doing it from behind a keyboard where a bunch of bots might agree with you.
Right. Or it could even be as simple as you rip ass on the couch and someone laughs. And you're like, oh, yeah, you're here. I'm not alone. Thank God. Thank God.
Like when I see these people, I'm like, how many of these people just got left behind? They lost whatever job they had, and then they were homeless. They didn't have people.
And then also the shelters shut down.
Yep.
That was a big thing.
Resources went
All of
like
it gone,
that.
yeah. Because they didn't, everyone was uncertain, couldn't do it, blah, 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 blah. The only silver lining with, New York specifically, is that, I want to put this on a t-shirt is, hey, at least we're not San Francisco. But it's like at the same time, like
Yeah.
we're not too far away.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't think it can be that bad, but I mean, I've never been out there. Some people, like, you'll see people fight back against that. Like, oh, I was in San Francisco today. I didn't get robbed. Not everything was shot up like everyone says on the internet. And they're probably right about that.
Yeah, no.
But
I've never even been out there.
But
I'm
you still see, like, the videos in San Francisco are, every day they're like as brazen as that dude stabbing people that we just saw in New York.
Yeah.
Like they're like, wait, that's not real. Oh wow, that's
yeah.
real.
I think about I like a year ago. It's like I almost jinxed myself because a year ago I would watch like those videos from like L.A. and San Fran, and I'd be like, Jesus, man, like the homeless and like the crackheads, like the ones on the West Coast, they seem really fucking aggressive. What the hell? And now it's like the last year in New York, all of a sudden it's like, oh no, everyone's aggressive now. But it makes sense. Why is everyone aggressive? Well, you know, the last 2 years of life hasn't been something to calm you down.
Think about this guy real quick.
Jeffrey Epstein.
24 years old. His dad wasn't really ever around, so his mom was working several jobs growing up to make ends meet and everything. Maybe he has a couple siblings. Maybe they're there. Actually, let's say they're not. They're somewhere else. And he didn't go to college, got a job working, you know, as like a driver around New York or something during the college years. Pandemic hits, mom dies of COVID.
Yeah.
Which this is not a far-fetched story. New York was insane when it happened. And now he has no job. He lost it. He's depressed, so he doesn't collect government checks. Suddenly, the little apartment that she was able to pay for and he was able to support, suddenly he's not in there anymore. The lease runs out. He didn't pay.
No shelter to turn to.
Now he's on the street. It is August 2020 now. All right, this happened in 5 months.
Yep. Streets are empty.
Okay, so now he sees someone next to him says, take some of this.
Yeah.
Takes a little, whatever that drug is. Yep. Now he starts losing track of days. His phone turns off, doesn't even have that anymore. Mm-hmm. This person could be virtually completely insane in months.
Yeah.
Think about how many people are like that right now who got left behind by the system and nothing there to help them.
Yep. And now if we had just introduced those people to Bitcoin instead of heroin, they actually might have made a killing. If they bought Ethereum at $600 at the beginning of the pandemic when mom passed. No, but you're right. It's actually like that is not far-fetched at all. And what's crazy is I am noticing a lot of homeless people. I've been seeing a lot younger, dude. Like people who had been like, oh, that could have been a classmate from school, you know?
I'm waiting for the first spread we see a story that they get on someone who was.
Like
someone
who was like the everyday
debt.
kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
No,
dude, it's coming, dude. Some of the people that I've been seeing that look like our age, you can tell they haven't been that way for a long time. Like I see kids that look like, you know, around our age, and I'm like, they still got a pair of AirPods, you know? Or like they got a pair of Jordans on, but you could tell they're doing a lot of dope too, and like they're living on the street, and it's like, dude, this is all new, you know? And granted, would it have happened anyway for some? Maybe, sure, but with the circumstances that have been coming, you know.
Yeah, just turn that thing, by the way.
Yeah, I got it. With the circumstances that, you know, we've been presented with, it's totally real. Totally real that could have happened to anybody.
I don't, you know, it makes me think back to when people 3 days into the pandemic raised the alarm about the mental health and the drugs and things like that would happen. It was common sense.
And it's true, too.
Of
you
course
see all
it is.
these numbers of overdoses, alcoholism, even stuff like domestic abuse. It's like all of it skyrocketed.
I constantly have to remind myself that I only live in my head, right? Because none of that's, and I also didn't lose my job when it happened, right? I still had that for a little while.
Yeah, I had a big freelancing gig. I worked the whole pandemic. Thank God.
I had been giving myself a runway, working towards something, ended up being this, right? Like I had a lot that was just, it was there. You could take it for granted in that way that other people didn't. But like, I've never understood the whole idea of like I like alcohol, right? But I've never understood the idea of like, it's 6 o'clock. I had a tough day. I'm having a drink. I think I've done that twice in my life, and it didn't happen like that.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, I've had a day, man.
Yeah.
And I just have one, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of people, that's not, I understand that's not how their brain works. Their brain then becomes, that's what I want.
Oh,
now
yeah.
I'm doing it again and again and again. And this is replacing everything.
That's routine for probably the majority of like 9-to-5ers. Especially in New York, especially in cities. Yeah. In the suburbs, people might not be as apt to come home and have a drink every single night. But when you're living in a city,
it's fucking Mad Men.
You leave the exactly, dude. You leave the office, you walk out. There's a fucking pig and whistle, whatever, on every goddamn corner, and you're like, you know what? Go have a fucking beer. Go have a drink with a few coworkers. Oh God, we earned it, dude. We just did 8 hours of this garbage we don't want to do. We earned it, but that's not sustainable.
No. I don't know how
maybe for some people have the mental fortitude, but the majority probably not.
I think I'm just, the way we're all wired is maybe it starts the same, but it ends up different based on what you gravitate towards or whatever. But I never understood the people who just did that like on a daily basis or like went to the happy hour and stuff. Like trust me, I knew how to have a good fucking time. A lot of people know I had a good time after college and everything, but there was a hard line for me.
Yeah.
On the week, I'm on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, unless it was business related, I didn't fucking go to happy hours. I didn't go out and drink. I fucking worked out, went to work, did my shit, got it done. On the weekends, I could blow it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just what it was.
That's the way to do it.
But like I would notice exactly what you're saying. Like even with like friends in the city and stuff, they're like, oh, there's a happy hour tonight. I'm like, but aren't you? Okay, all right. You know.
It's like, motherfucker, there's going to be a happy hour every night from 2 p.m. till 5 a.m. Like that's never going to change.
Yep.
Even when this world is going to hell in a handbasket, there's still going to be a happy hour you can go to.
5 o'clock somewhere, man.
Yeah,
always.
Exactly.
But people are, that's another thing. People, the older I get, the more I realize how much people just think about today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's great to be present. I'm with that.
Yeah.
But they don't, it's like, what's the official term? Short-term gratification versus long-term.
But
There's
again,
no
it's like
long-term.
you go back to all the shit we were talking about earlier. It's like, well, it's easy to be that way because if you're working and you're not crazy about your job or like everything's not really the way you want it to be, well, it's easy to fall into that because at least that's something you're going to get that good feeling or you're going to get that net positive reaction or it's easy. It's so easy to fall into that. Whereas like a guy like you or me is like you have some aspirations or some bigger plans. It's like, well, you can't settle for that. What are you doing? You're blowing it. 2 days back to back, Thursday and Friday, of just like boozing or just like kind of living like, you don't give a shit. It's like, well, you're going to see on Saturday when you're doing this shit. Oh, well, I didn't put my investment in this week. I didn't pay my rent this week, Got to pay your rent.
I'm really fortunate to have a lot of people around me who, even if this isn't how they would do it with their life, maybe they don't have the aspirations I do, they want to do different things or whatever. I have a lot of people around me who, even if they don't get it, they get it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, me
and
too.
They're supportive,
that's a
and
blessing.
they're like, hey, no, we know, like you got it. The hardest part though is when I have people, and there's some who don't get it at all. Want totally different things in their life and can't recognize that like that's not what I want. They're like they want to help. It's usually coming from a good place.
Yeah.
But they're like trying to project how they think life should be lived upon me. And I got to look at them and be like, anyone who's ever built something, what do you think? They just like, they clock in 9 to 5 and then like go and fucking blow it out on the weekend?
I had the exact conversation with somebody yesterday. Look up any person you want that you think is big. Look up whether it's fucking George Clooney, who waited tables till he was 41. Look up anybody. Very rarely are there people that were able to just walk into a room and some guy in a suit across saw them and was like, You're Elvis, kid.
Cash
you know?
me outside, girl.
Yeah.
She did it. You know what I mean?
Dude, it happens, but like not really.
Rare.
Yeah, not really.
Rare.
Yeah.
You know, like the people that count on virality or like something like, oh, it'll happen tomorrow. Like, I'm like, that's, to me, when I hear people say the word tomorrow, this thing just goes up my spine and I'm like, no. Like, that is not how it works.
Right.
Because everything will become tomorrow.
And granted, you know, like people might feel that way when you or I are saying how like, oh, like this 9 to 5 and then the happy hour and then the weekend, like that's like they might look at us and think we're wild too. Just like
Absolutely.
it's all relative.
And
I talk to these kids at work and I'll be like, oh, what are you doing? You coming to have a few with us? And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do like 2 or 3 open mics. Then I got to meet my buddy to write this sketch, and then I got to still rehearse my lines for this play. And it's just they're like, oh, what? Like, you know, like you're done. Like. I'm like, no, the day's not done. For me, like when 5 p.m. hits with what I've been doing lately, it's like the day's just beginning.
Yeah, your day starts now.
I'm done with the bullshit finally. That's going to pay rent this month. But now the day's just starting.
That's a great feeling, man. It's a grind, but like
Yeah,
it's a great.
Yeah, it sucks. The morning after can really fucking blow sometimes when I'm like, oh, I got to go do that bullshit now, you know? But, you know, it's just knowing that 5 p.m. hits and then the day actually begins. And it's like, that's what makes it worthwhile.
But you have a thing to chase.
Yeah.
You know, and I also, by the way, the people who are like comfortable in their own skin with doing that and also then don't project it on me at all, love them. Like, that's great. Again, like it goes back to the whole thing.
Dude, at the end of the day,
I'm all about that.
Yeah, dude, whether they're a friend, an acquaintance, or a random person, I just want people to be happy. So if you're happy with that, man, all the power to you. If anything, I'll be jealous in a sense because I'll be like, well, you got it all figured out. Good for you. Because like I'm still tinkering with the parts and pieces. But
yeah, well, we all always are. I think that's a part of. You always have to be self-aware of that. You're never a finished product. I really believe that. Even old people, like
unless you're made in China, then you know that's pretty clear cut. Clear cut. You're made in China. The Chinese want to make action figures of Superman. What the hell is going on?
That's really good, man. Said it a few times. That's really good. But like, what a thing I'm always curious about with creatives, like people who write. Well, you write. You do comedy. You also write for comedy. You write. You've written scripts and stuff like that. Like when you are funding it, you know, through working a job and things like that on the come up. You have a limited time, right? You just said your day starts at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
So when it starts, you're like, okay, well, maybe I can work till like 1 tonight. I got to be up at like 6:30, so I get 5.5 hours of sleep. But I got that window right there, and that window includes maybe my 20 minutes to get home and walk, the next 10 minutes to get myself settled behind the computer, and then like rejigger my thoughts. Because by the way, my brain's been on for 10 hours already today, so it's not like fresh. Maybe I got to make some coffee. There's another 15 minutes right there, and now I'm sitting down and doing it, and it's scheduled creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Do you struggle with that? Because like it's not like you can just be like, I think I'll walk around and smell the roses and smoke
right,
sativa.
like or I'll write 10 pages today, but then realistically you only write 1 or 2. No, dude, that's definitely how it goes. I mean, so the job I work, it's sales. So I literally have to perform all day. Like I look at it as like I act all day.
Yeah.
I'm selling garbage to people, you know, like it's literally like Wolf of Wall Street where
we
it's
won't
like,
say where you work.
No, I won't. But it's like you're selling garbage, you know, and you're selling people on the idea that this garbage is
It's going to change your life.
this is going to be the single best way to enhance your company's image to all these people you're working with. And
So it's B2B. All right.
Yeah.
I'm on my prowl now.
And I lost my thought, but it's like, yeah, dude, it gets hard because there are days where I'm like, all right, ideally today I would like to lock down like the next sketch that we're going to work on with my buddy, and you're just not on and you can't think of those ideas. But maybe that's a better day to just read over my lines for like this project and just like get my lines down. So I think for me, I'll wake up with what I'll be like, yeah, this is what I'm doing today. And, you know, a lot of the time it sticks to that. But there are the days where I'm like, nah, let me readjust. Like when 5 p.m. hits, I'm like, yeah, I can't do them. I'm not like, I'm going to go on stage right now and talk. I'm like, and it's not from a place of like being lazy, because it's not like I just say, all right, day off. It's like, no, I'm not going to do an open mic or 2 today, but now I'm going to write gonna work on my script, you know, for the film I'm writing, or I'm
You
gonna
stay
or I'm
disciplined with that.
It's a matter of like when you're working on so many things too and being multifaceted, it's just a matter of staying disciplined and showing up and doing the work. And there are some days where I'm like, oh man, I really don't want to like try and do comedy because again, like I'm still new to this. I'm still figuring this out. Like I don't want to do this, but then I'm like, all right, but dude, you know, you do got to do it. I do have to do it, and you got to go up there and bomb or eat shit, or I have to go home with the intention of writing 10 pages and write 3. That's just the game. That's just a part of the game.
I have a lot of respect for that, man, because it's hard. You know, there's obviously a lot of creativity that goes into what I do, which this is the easiest part. This is where the creativity
This is the best part. Yeah.
This is a joke doing
Get
this.
to sit back.
All the behind the scenes shit and marketing it, making the clips and stuff like that, which is like an insane level. It's like if I already don't have enough hours in a day, but if I didn't have the space to be able to do that, and I still struggle with it, like, oh, I got to be making shit today, and I'm like, I'm starting to make shit, and I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah,
You
you're
know?
forcing it.
Yes.
You gotta have, I could already tell you're the type of guy, like, and that's why we would mesh well. Like, if we worked on something, it's like I will go psychotic over quality control, and that's a blessing and a curse, you know, because then you're like, well, I want to work today, and you're like working for 3 hours, and you're like, this is dog shit, and it's not dog shit, but as far as the standard that you're trying to set, it's dog shit, and now you wasted 3 hours, but you can't look at it like that.
You can't. I do. That's a weakness sometimes because I do look at it that way. You know, if it actually is. I mean, everything starts and kind of ends at dog shit for me. But it's like, is it dog shit? Is it
is it actual dog shit?
Put this out. You know, that's always tough because then you feel like you wasted time.
Right.
You know, but you still. One thing I find, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I'll find later. I never see it in the moment because we're wired for negativity with this kind of thing. But like when I'm trying to put something together and it just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I'm spending the first 4 hours of the job on it where, you know, okay, maybe I don't end up going all the way, but I spent 4 hours trying to find this, craft it, make it work. You know, it's like, oh my God, I just wasted like all that energy in the day. But what ends up happening is it ends up being something there is figured out such that it wires itself into the next thing that I do find and then be like, oh wait, okay, this one kind of works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why there's always a benefit no matter what. Like there's always something to gain, big or small, even out of the things that you perceive as a waste of time. It's like, well, no, like you just said, now it kind of like gave a pathway to like connecting it to this thing that you're about to find. You're going to be like, oh, that's what it is. And it's like it's the corniest saying, and everyone says it, but things happen for a reason. It's like, oh, it was just supposed to be mapped out that way. You needed to make this dog shit for the last 4 hours because now it opened up this little door to find that.
I don't know where it comes from, man. Like when you have no ideas coming to you and then suddenly like it just spits it out on the page if you're writing or on the screen if you're putting together a video and you're like, oh yeah, then that, and then suddenly it's like a lava flow. You know what I mean? That's a wild thing about humanity.
Yeah, man, because it's just like, again, none of this stuff can be forced, you know? Like I think everything that's forced, you realize it's forced and maybe it works one time, but it might not work the next. I think you just gotta go with the ebbs and flows. The one thing that does suck is that when you do have to do things you don't want to do in order to do these things, you know, I've had so many moments at this job where it'll be 10:30 in the morning there and I'm like, you know, fully in the workday working and I get hit with like such a wave of like inspiration or like ideas. And for me personally, with what I'm doing, I do this. I just can't help. I take out my notebook and then I just stop working and start working on my personal stuff. But I'll dip into work here and there just in case anyone's walking by. But ideally, it's like, no, like if this is here now, I'm sorry, but I have to take it. And if it means you guys have to fire me, well then, you know, do what you got to do. Thank you for the opportunity. But like these are the moments where it's like, no, I need to catch this because this ain't coming back. Like I'm a firm believer in that. Like sometimes you have ideas and moments of inspiration that like it's never coming back. So you better fucking catch the fish, baby. Like
record it. Do
Yeah,
something.
just something,
Yep.
something. Even if you have to write a single sentence on a Post-it, so when you look at it in 10 hours from now, you're right back. But it's like you can't miss it,
I am anal about that,
dude.
man.
So many. I would look back and be like, dude, there were so many moments where I knew I was supposed to be writing that thing or two down, and I didn't, and they're just gone in the ether. And I couldn't even give you an example because they're gone in the ether.
I have saved notes and stuff that sometimes all I need is a few code words. Other times I need to actually write down whatever like spews the thought. But it's not like I even go back to all of them. It's like I know they're there.
Yes.
And like, okay, we captured that. Boom, in the box. Like you were a Mad Men guy, right?
Yeah.
So you remember the episode where it was from the earlier seasons. I forget the guy's name, but the one kind of like awkward fat guy
Yeah.
thought of an idea, and he was in there with
Don Draper.
No, what
Like
was?
you're with Don.
But he was in there with Peggy on the couch.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he's like, I got it. Oh my God, that's the best thing ever. And then it cuts away, and then the next cut that you see them, they wake up on the couch the next morning, and he can't remember the idea because he didn't write it down. And I always looked at that and I went, oh, that could be like if you were gonna write, like if Whitney Houston was gonna write I Will Always Love You, and then just like fell asleep.
Just fell asleep.
Imagine.
Yeah. Dude, that's why you come into my bedroom and it's like I have notebooks.
Whoa. Buy me dinner first.
Oh, no. You're coming in, whether you like it or not. Okay? No.
All right, Harvey Weinstein, relax.
Jeffrey Epstein. Okay? Name's Jeff. Okay? No, but like you could walk into my bedroom any day of the week and you'll find I have notebooks from 2016, dude. I have notebooks from 2015. Just like you have to keep it. You have to capture it and you have to keep it and you have to safeguard it. Because it's like you never know whether you capitalize on it this year or it's 3 years from now. But it's like I'm such a firm believer in that I've tried to make that a fucking deathly habit of just I'm gonna always record this stuff and it's not going anywhere and I'm not gonna throw it away. Like you become a bit of a hoarder, but it's for the greater good of creation and you know what you're doing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like creatives are often like organized. You might have said this word too, but like organized chaos, and that's really just a cute way of saying like completely disorganized because everything's everywhere. It's like you make something in that madness.
Yeah,
you know, I constantly have to clean shit up like once every 6-8 weeks because it just piles up everywhere. I'm like, oh,
for sure, dude.
You know,
absolutely. I just try. I don't know. I think the controlled chaos and just being disoriented benefits me a little bit. I know where the important things are, and I think that's all that matters to me. Maybe that's not a good way to approach life, you know. But I'm like,
it's over there.
I'm like, yeah, I know these notebooks or this is over. Like, I know that's over there. As far as everything else, you know, I don't know. It doesn't really matter, you know?
Yeah.
But it does.
It does. Like you do have to pull yourself back and not. Some people they're able to just always live in that, but like I find if I can't get some things buttoned up, like there's always gonna be something that's disorganized. But if I can't get some things buttoned up, it's like it's a disaster because then you feel weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's like when your room is a mess forever.
Yeah.
Right. After like 6 months, you're like, okay, this is nuts. You can get away with it for a month, but like if you're not in there a lot, eventually it starts to affect like how you think about things.
For sure. That's why I even see it as like there you can only go so far with the whole idea too of a starving artist in my opinion, you know. Like we said earlier, it's like there's a lot of great things that do come from adversity or that heartbreak or from that loss or whatever, but I also think that there are people who almost approach it and it's like I have to just always suffer to make good things, and it's like true, but not always, you know. I used to really buy into that heavily, but then I realized I'm like, no, like there were a lot of moments where like when I was organized and I was in a good headspace and I was working out consistently and I was eating right, like really good things came from that too.
Absolutely.
You know? You can only buy into that idea so much until you're just completely debilitated and depressed to where you can't produce anything.
You got to let life happen.
Yeah.
Those are people who knowingly or unknowingly are trying to diagram life, and they're actually trying to diagram it negative because they think the negative, I'm going to live in the negative and it's going to force me to be great. You can't.
Right.
You have to just let it happen, which also, by the way, you know, it always life includes things that are bad. Like they will happen to you.
But that's the waves. Like there's no such thing as like permanent happiness. Happiness is temporary, so that means you're going to enjoy the happiness when it's there, and then you're going to, you know, try and fix it when you're not feeling as happy. You're going to try and find an approach that can get you back there. But you have to deal with the depression. You got to deal with the low points. You got to deal with all the ebbs and flows of everything that comes. And that's just coming from me, because I got it figured out. I
think you do have it figured out.
Folks, come on. Come on. You need advice, you listen to me.
That's what you're here for, man.
No.
I brought Joey Deef in for advice. But speaking of advice, like, how'd this whole thing come together with you writing a play that you're going into a festival in Scotland? Like, fill me in here.
Yeah,
What's going on?
so me and my good buddy, Matt Ferrara, he's also actor, you know, writer, filmmaker. And it all started because we both were like, we got to start a podcast. We had been saying it for a few years because like at least I personally, but I think him too, had been toying with like, trying stand up too. Cause I'd been writing bits for a couple of years and all sucked, but I was doing it. And so we're like, all right, if we're going to try and give that thing a shot, let's do it right. Let's consistently put out a podcast every weekend, which, you know, minus 3 weekends out of the last
year, right?
40.
Almost a year.
Yeah. We've hit. So, you know, we've stayed pretty true to that. We have had our slips. So we're like, let's put out a consistent podcast every week. It's going to just be as simple as it gets, just comedy, satire, just us fucking around and talking about everything. And with that, we're also going to start hitting the open mics. We're going to start trying to give that thing a shot. And then slowly, as we're like in this community, and I've met so many great people, I can't even begin to stress the amount of like awesome and just amazing people I've met doing stand-up comedy in New York City.
Like who?
There's so many, man. I'm almost scared to say names because if I forget like one or two, I'm gonna drive home and then I'm gonna hit the giant bridge that goes over the water. I'm gonna.
It's okay. We're 2 hours in, so a lot of those people they stop listening.
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, like. Fuck, just like off firsthand, it's like, you know, Dan Carney, Ryan O'Toole, SB Rivadeneira, Caroline Haynes, Derek Drescher, you know, fucking, I could go wild, do it. Eli Haba, Jake Tim. I mean, there's so many fucking people that I've met.
Carney's the guy who opened up for Tim Dillon.
Yeah,
right? He's funny.
Yeah, he's a funny fucking dude. Great dude. Dean David. I mean, I could just fucking go all day long with these people that I've gotten to interact with and meet. And Adam Christopher, Malia Simon. I'm like, I can't stop. But there's so many people, dude, that were awesome and just fucking fantastic individuals and creative people and funny motherfuckers. And so I had only learned about the Fringe Festival through Matt. And he was like, dude, this festival is like really awesome. You know, you go and look it up. It's a month long in Edinburgh, Scotland. It started because back in, it might have been the late 1800s, I'm not 100% sure, they had a big arts festival there, and it was very exclusive for the elites. And so they started this thing called the Fringe Festival, where on the fringe of the city, they would have a festival for anyone. Anyone could join, anyone could perform in it.
Is Jeffrey Epstein, was he on the board?
He was on, he founded it, actually. Yeah, he founded it. Yeah, he founded it, and you know they did a performance of it was Bohemian Grove, a performance. Nice. Yeah,
so they were like fucking in front of the owl. And
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Wow. But back then everyone was with it. They're like,
cool.
this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Got it.
So yeah, but that caught wind, and that actually became the festival that took over the city. Was the Fringe Festival. So now it's a thing. You know, you got to register, and you're in.
And is it all plays?
It's plays. It's theater. Stand-up comedy has taken the front seat of it for like the last 5 years. Like it's probably the biggest stand-up comedy festival in the world.
But you're doing the play there, right?
We're doing a comedy play.
Right.
So, you know, we have a theater space, and we got the theater space, you know, we promote it, and we're doing this play every day, 6 to 7 p.m.
How many days?
August 5th to the 28th, so 23 days straight.
23 days of doing the play.
Yeah, no break. We didn't take any off days.
But what made you? So this is like really cool.
Yeah, so he's telling me all about this, and I'm like, dude. And we're like, we should write a play. Matt had always had this great running joke with friends, and it was just like, like, oh, he fucked my wife. Like, did you fuck my wife? Like, just stupid. You're like, oh, you fucked my wife. Why'd you fuck my wife? And we were like, we took the idea of like Arthur Miller plays, Tennessee Williams plays, the 1950s Americana, Streetcar Named Desire, Death of a Salesman.
Classics.
And we're like, what if we took that, and it's about two ad men, they're at the top of the chain in the admin world, and they're fucking each other's wives, but they're best friends, and they don't know, and it gets revealed. And so we wrote, Hey, That's My Wife. And we took all of those kinds of plays and we turned them on their head. What's one thing they did? They wouldn't be very direct with sex or with violence or drug use. We're direct. Everything is like, you fucking my wife? No, I'm not fucking your wife. And so we wrote this show, two ad men, Charlie Moore and, Roger Sloan. They're the top of the game and they're in the ad world and they're working under the boss, Willie the Pint Shanahan, who's just the titan of the industry. Played by Ryan O'Toole.
What years is it taking place?
This is in the 50s, New York City, Manhattan.
Classy.
So, we're talking like, I want to get the numbers all the way up and we're going to bring it down.
Wow.
Because if you're going to be fucking my wife, we're going to make sure we're doing it right. All right?
Wow, you got it down. The Gilded Age accent.
Yeah, like that mid-Atlantic type shit.
Fucking James Cagney era.
Yeah, so we're doing that. And, two ad men fucking each other's wives. The big reveal, you've been fucking my wife, I've been fucking your wife. And revealed that the boss has been fucking our wives. And our wives have been fucking each other.
The pint has been fucking the wife.
The pint's been fucking them. Our wives have been fucking each other because we're all veterans, too. Like, we fought in World War II.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Oh, my pleasure.
Where were you? Normandy?
I was, this is a spoiler. My character always talks about how he took down so many Japanese.
Oh, you were in Okinawa.
He never made it to Japan. My character twisted his knee at base camp, but he just makes
he's got the fake cover story.
My character is like the brash, tough guy who's really a pussy. Matt's character is the pussy, sensitive guy who's actually the really tough one.
So he was in Berlin.
He was there fighting while I was making casserole at the base.
Wow.
And so...
How long did this take to write?
We wrote a first draft like 3 or 4 weeks in January. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
that's recently too.
Yeah, you think that's nuts, dude. I wrote the first draft to my feature film. I wrote that in 18 days.
I've heard shit like that. You just get on his own, right?
That was one of the best times ever. And it was during the first August of the pandemic. So it was just the first 2 weeks of August. I was just hammering it 9 hours, 10 hours a day.
You tucked that one away?
Oh my God. That fucking felt great.
Did you tuck it away, I assume?
No, I'm on the 6th draft of it now.
No, but all right, but you're not shopping it around yet.
Not yet, because I want to. Yeah, I'm on the last draft. This 6th draft is going to be it, and then we're shopping it around.
All right. We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that.
But with this one, 3-4 weeks.
So
in
3-4 weeks, we wrote the first draft, and like we were looking at it, and we're like, dude, our boss is like the quintessential. He's an Irishman, like like a fucking dude. What do you fucking do? You want to fucking make it in this fucking business? You want to be a fucking producer? And we had our buddy Ryan O'Toole. He's from Southie Boston. He's a fucking killer of a comic. He's in New York City on his grind day in, day out. And we're like, that's our man. And then for the pint.
How many total characters are there?
5. Me, Matt, our wives, and the pint.
That's it.
No
secretary.
And then we had 2 female comedians, Espy Riva Dinera and Caroline Haynes, who are just 2 other killers in their respects, and they just fucking are workhorses. And like as we were writing this thing, it was almost like we didn't write it thinking of all these people in mind, But as we're writing it, we're like, dude, O'Toole, he's the guy who's like, shut up, I'll tell you a real fucking war story about the real war, the Great War, And then like Espy is she's a tough bitch. Like she doesn't take no shit. Like she stands up for herself. She's tiny. So it's like we're like, all right, she's the wife who takes no shit. She slaps Matt around,
except that guy's dick.
Yeah,
right.
And then Caroline, it's like she's gonna play like the belle, and she's like, everything's all perfect, but no, she's stepping out and fucking my best friend. So as we were writing this thing, it all came together of who was gonna be involved, and it fell together so perfectly. And so then it was just like, well, we're bringing this thing to Scotland. And, the best part about comedians is the ones that are all in on comedy, they don't got much going on other than stand-up comedy. So we're like, hey, do you want to go to Scotland for a month and really let's do this thing? And it was just yeses across the board, everyone's saving up their money, take care of their airfare, their housing, and we're going to do the thing. So
wow,
we're previewing it next Saturday at the Grizzly Pear Comedy Club in New York City.
No shit.
We're going to be doing our first preview of it, the full play.
And how long? It's like an hour?
An hour exact, yeah. Because it's really 55-ish minutes, but I just taking into account the time between scenes of moving stuff.
This sounds, I'm going to be honest. Usually when people pitch some sort of story, I'm like, okay, yeah, that kind of works. I see that movie already.
Oh my God, dude.
I see that that is
for sure.
That's a slam dunk
for sure.
You got the period piece too. They can make it today as well, but if they wanted to.
But you're playing on all those ideas because in A Streetcar Named Desire, it's alluding to infidelity or this and that. It's alluding. It's but whereas ours is bam, you fucking my wife. You're hitting everything direct. So you're taking that whole style of storytelling and turning it on its head. And yeah, man, and taking it in a setting and making it a live performance. Comedians all of the comics that are in this, it's funny because I've been doing it for fucking 10 months. So sometimes I can't even fix myself to be I'm a comic, I'm a comedian, but I'm doing it.
You are.
But I see these people, these are people who have put their time in, they have paid their rent, and it's the experience the last couple of months of rehearsing it and seeing everyone grow into their roles has just been fucking so special. So
that's awesome to say, but I'm also going to give you credit too, because you have been writing and filmmaking and in the creative process for years.
Right. That was my edge.
Right.
That was my edge.
So even if you weren't, you always definitely had a level of comedy to you. Even if you weren't I'm also now a stand-up comic and I'm going to write to be a stand-up comic, you were in a lot of ways training the muscles to be able to do that.
For sure. For sure. I started making sketches in 5th grade. That was I have stuff on YouTube of me as a 5th grader, and I don't tell anyone to use it. But it's there.
You got to take that down.
I can't. I don't know how to get into the account.
Oh, I figured that out the day before I launched the podcast. I went and I found it.
Oh, well.
It's gone.
Thankfully, it's nothing about, endorsing this new millionaire Jeffrey Epstein or anything of that sort. It's just funny sketches, thank God. So it won't get me canceled. But yeah, man. So we're gonna do that. We're doing the preview this upcoming Saturday at the Grizzly Pear Comedy Club. We're gonna fucking do that. We're gonna do a preview in New Jersey in the middle of July, and then July 31st we're outie, and we do it the whole month in Edinburgh, Scotland.
You guys all get an Airbnb together?
Even better, we got a 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom dorm.
A dorm?
10 minutes.
A dorm? A college dorm?
Queen's College in Scotland.
Come on.
Yeah. Because, dude, no one's there in the summer. It was cheap as shit.
They're Airbnb in college dorms now.
For this festival. This festival is a big deal out there.
How many people go to this damn thing?
It's the second biggest ticketed event next to the World Cup. There's going to be over 3,500 shows in 23 days.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. It's a big...
At the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, Edinburgh, Scotland, the whole city.
Whatever.
The whole city just fucking transforms. And so it's going to be cool, man.
You know what, though?
Cool.
You get to see... I'm so excited for you, number one. Because
thank you.
The story sounds amazing. And the fact that it's got a comedy edge to it, pulling off... I'm not a theater guy. I'm the last dude you should be listening to on that.
Yeah,
but pulling off live comedy where it's in script format.
Yeah.
I look at, as an example... some of those, the sitcoms with the live audience and stuff. Now they have applause signs. You're not going to have that. Or the laugh signs. But that's hard to be funny.
Right. And that's literally how we're taking it. That's exactly what it is. It's like you're going to go and watch a 55-minute long SNL sketch when SNL was good. Or you're going to watch a 55-minute episode of Seinfeld. It's just that's exactly how we wanted to approach it.
How does it feel, though, you made something?
Yeah.
You did something that few people that walk on this earth do. You created a full script of something, and more importantly, you developed it, and it's actually happening. And you're gonna be in it too. So that's a benefit. But
for sure,
you finished it. It's gonna be put out there to the world. If it sucks, people will tell you. But if it's good, people will tell you. And either way, you're gonna be able to say, "All right, step one, we fucking did it." What does that feel like?
It's really rewarding, man. I mean, that's the whole point of doing everything. It's been instilled in me as a kid that you don't quit. My parents, if I started playing a sport and I wanted to quit it, they'd be like, well, too bad, bud. You got practice at 5 o'clock, you know? There was one time in my life, the only time my parents ever let me quit anything was in 7th grade. I had decided I didn't want to play football anymore. Or no, 6th grade.
You look like a 2nd-round draft pick, man. What are you doing?
Well,
you gave it up?
I went back. No. I went back. But 6th grade, I started doing theater, and I was like, fuck. I'm like, I really like this acting shit. I really like it. Yeah, you can laugh.
I'm just picturing your dad.
They casted me as Kaneki in Grease, and I was going to sing Grease Lightning, and I was like, dude, I fucking love this shit, because I was always the personality. And I told my parents, I'm like, I really want to quit football.
I want to
really bad.
Acting.
I want to keep doing this acting stuff. And I fucked up. It was 7th grade, and it wasn't Grease. They had saw me do Grease the year before, so they had seen something. They're like, oh shit, he's not just like jerking around. Like, he actually enjoys this, and he was funny. He was good at it. And so in 7th grade, I'm like, I don't want to do football and the theater. It's too much, and I just don't care to play football. And my parents were like, all right. Like, they actually let me do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
They actually let me quit football.
Me in my head, you know what? I've never met your dad in my life, but
dude.
I'm picturing the stereotypical North Jersey Italian dad.
What
the fuck are you going to do with
acting? You
acting?
want to play football? You want to be an actor?
You want to go be a fairy dancer?
Yeah,
like,
what are you doing? But then in 8th grade, I went back. I played football, too.
All right, so you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
That works.
And then played it throughout high school. And then I didn't do theater throughout high school. I, switched. And so that was something where you finish high school and it's like, fuck, I should have been doing that shit.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, and then I go to Monmouth for a year, party my face off, business major, film minor, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Wall Street and movies, baby. That's
and
it.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then, then that was it. I went to New York. But when I graduated college, I had met 2 filmmakers while I was in college, and they had made their first feature film. They got it onto Amazon Prime. They didn't get some crazy deal, but they got it. And so they had taken a liking to me. I became very good friends with them. And they're some of my best friends to this day, Mike Perrone and Jeff Mikowski. And when I graduated college, they gave me an opportunity. They wanted me to direct a behind-the-scenes documentary on their feature film they were about to make. And so I started doing that. It was, starring Matthew Lawrence. He was trying to make his big, a return and really do a big role, and they got him. And I was doing that, and, the film had its issues. It got shut down after 25 days by the union, whole thing, and then finishing it over the pandemic. And so I got to experience that secondhand on someone else's project, because then they ultimately brought me on to the real camera crew, the principal crew, brought me on to help produce, as an assistant. And so I got to experience that through them, and I was like, fuck, that is amazing. After all this time doing it through the pandemic, we were shooting guerrilla style in New York when it was shut down. And so then I'm like, well, I've always been the self-starter. I've always made my own things. And I was like, it's time to really cash this shit in and do it big. And so then I wrote that movie, and I got to finish that script, and I finished it after, 18 days. And I'm like, holy, this
You're
is
just locked in the apartment.
zoned in, did that.
Did you forget to eat?
I mean, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
It was
It's
just
a good feeling,
dude.
right?
It was just, it was fucking incredible, and it was the greatest feeling because we did that group of people. We did like a 7-person writing retreat in Vermont the last week of me finishing it, and so I got to the last 3
You
days.
changed environments and went somewhere else to finish it?
The last 3 days,
Wow.
I was in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and it was just the best because I finished that movie. And, I was around friends, filmmakers, collaborators, and I got, they were so good to me in the sense of everyone was there for me. And they're like, you just fucking did, people don't, and not everyone gets to do this. And we got to sit there and I got to hear it out loud. We read it. And
Oh, you read it?
all of us, together, and
What'd they think?
yeah, it was like a powerful moment. They're like, dude, you got it. You got something here.
How many pages was it?
The first draft was 98 pages.
What's it at now?
Now the 5th draft we brought it down to 84.
So you're
It was the 4th draft was 111.
What's the genre of the movie? rom-com?
A thriller. Thriller drama, yeah. Yeah.
And what's the concept?
It's about a writer going back to the Jersey Shore in the dead of winter to recount this summer years ago when he met this prolific Jersey type of guy, and they had a summer to remember that ended in a very bad tragedy. And it's something he's pushed out of his mind for a long time, and he's coming back to come to grips with it as he writes about it. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
Secret Window meets The Shining meets the backdrop of the Jersey Shore in the winter. A ghost town, Seaside Heights in the winter.
Are you reading my mind? You took that. That's exactly. So I guess you got the intended effect, because I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of the Depp movie where he's writing in the window, and then I'm thinking of fucking, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just like all those moments that I got to get a little taste, and it's like, it's not even a big deal. You finish a script. It's not like you sold it. It's not like you made it. It's not like, but you finish. I got those tastes, and it's just, that's been a driving factor ever since. And it's just like, it's drugs, dude. It's drugs.
Now, it was 18 days, so it was fast. And that whole thing of changing the environment.
I didn't write the second draft until for 5 more months after that,
That's
by the way.
good. Put it down.
That's what happened.
But like, you changed environments, which is crazy to me. Like, when I get in a zone, don't fucking walk through that door. Don't move me. I don't care if I haven't eaten in a day. Like, if I'm in that kind of zone, just let it fucking happen.
I was in the smallest bedroom of that 6-bedroom house. I was paying $800 a month for it. I was in there. So like, imagine my setting. It was like me in a tiny bedroom writing, literally like this character.
But you felt cramped.
I felt cramped, and you know, I love nature. I'm into that. So I'm like, fuck, dude, we're all about to go up there and have our little escape and fucking
tree hugger escape.
Yeah, dude. Like, there is something I fucking love about going to the middle of nowhere and making things. It makes sense why Kanye lives in Wyoming, you know? It all makes sense, because it's like, yeah, man, you can do it in the city, but there's like a spiritual thing where it's like you're almost connecting to some sort of higher power, where you can sit in a place and you look out and you see like virtually nothing then make everything.
It's true. I do, like, I believe in going for walks.
Yeah.
To inspire creativity heavily. Obviously, like, I work out every day.
Yeah.
So that's big for me. Is I didn't, for a while, I couldn't do that. So I had a health problem that turned out to be cool, like totally good. And once it was figured out. And so I can't work out at all the way I want to. But like, I had gotten to it, like, I'm a 0 or 100 guy, you know? So I had gotten to a point where for 7-8 straight years, I worked out 6 to 7 days a week, lift, and then I did a lot of cardio too. And so because I couldn't do it at 100%, I just without thinking about it, I stopped doing it. And then I finally figured out, like, wait, this is a negative thing on my life. I also looked horrible and whatever. So I was like, okay. And I just do it every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that clears my head. But between that and, like, getting in there and, like, getting in touch, like, when you start to actually sweat a little bit, like, oh, yeah, that'll work. Or, like, you're doing the rep and you're like, oh, yeah, wow, what about that, too? But then even something as simple as, like, taking the dog for a walk, especially back here in basically Alabama.
Yeah.
You're just kind of chilling, and then you start to pick up the pace a little bit, maybe put some music in, and suddenly it comes to you. I definitely agree with you. Even if you're someone who's more of a city guy like you or like me, there's an appreciation you can have for that.
If you're in the city, take a walk, and if you're in the middle of nowhere, sit and listen to silence. You know, I find the shower, I love taking showers. I swear by it, because, and you know what, I was talking about it on my podcast with my buddy Matt, because he's still in North Jersey. He's in the burbs still. So his is like driving. I'm like, well, I can't drive. So my thing is like, I like taking a shower. It's like, I can finally think, and then walking. Like yesterday we ran through this play 3 times. So we did the full play 3 times. We did a big rehearsal yesterday. After the rehearsal, went to the Grizzly Pear, started mapping out how the show is going to be put on next week, because we're not going to do it on a tiny little stage for a comedian. Yeah. But then after that, I was so fucking dead. But after that, I'm like, dude, I'm just been going on fumes for the last 3 months. I'm like, I just want to do nothing more than I want to roll a joint. I want to walk like 4 miles, and I just want to like put on music and just be in my head. And dude, it was fucking amazing. Like, yeah, after all of that yesterday, I rolled a little doober, and I walked from like West 3rd Street to almost like 40th. And
Love that.
but like I would go up and then go over 2 avenues, then go up some more, go back an avenue, and I was just literally walking and listening, and it felt so good. And I had a few good ideas that I put down, but it's just like stuff like that. You need it. I think you need it.
People don't use that as a tool in New York, and I don't understand why.
Well, because it's like you said, you're a 0 to 100 guy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same way. It's like, yeah, you think that it's like you need to be like pounding the pavement, but it's like it's very important that you get that time, whether it's taking a personal day or it's like just taking 2 hours of every day to disconnect or do this or that or just to work out, but you need to have that stuff. Because if not, that's another way to drive yourself into the frenzy we talked about. If you're just always on all the time and you don't even take 10 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, it's like small.
It's going to hinder. It's going to hinder the work.
And that's what I say to people, like when they're like, dude, you're really like, you need balance. I'm like, well, I do have it in my own little way. I take time to myself every day to work on my health and whatever. But again, like we were already saying earlier, don't need to relitigate. But like this is the time where I do have to do everything, and so I work.
Absolutely.
All the fucking time. But within that, your point being like finding the places to be able to reset your center to get the juices flowing. It's critical, man. And I've definitely seen a difference. I've seen a difference in my mentality. I think I'm like 70 days into working out every day again.
Yeah.
I said we're going to start at 56 because that's double 28.
Yeah.
Right? Because 28 is where you form a habit. I'm like, well, let's double that fucker up. And I know myself. I'm like, when I get to 56, I'll say we're going to 100. When I go to 100, I'll say 200. I've done it hungover a couple times because I've had to go somewhere and like we drank, and the next day still fucking did it because
show up.
There's something. Yeah, you show up and it ends up being therapeutic for you, and like it will affect how you look at like how you take the L's and handle W's. Like I was at a point where I couldn't even see W's, and then the L's, I'd just be like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
You know, people don't see that behind the scene, but I'm like, that's because there's, you had 8 years of letting a beast run every day, right? And now you took that away. Well, what the fuck do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
You need to let it run. If it can only jog, let it jog. You know?
And you need to readjust and think about how you're looking at the W's and the L's. And you'll start to realize that your first W of the day is waking up and hitting whatever your routine is. That's a W.
Huge W.
You said you were going to make breakfast, get this and that done. You did it. That's 3 W's. You just stacked up right there.
So true, man.
So easy to just be like, oh, well, I woke up and brushed my teeth, got ready, had breakfast, and got organized. Like, that's what I'm supposed to do. But it's like, no, but that's a W.
Yeah.
You go on with the rest of the day being like you already stocked one up before 9 a.m. because you did all that shit, When you start piecing it down like that, it is so true, man. It seems small, but it is. Those small things add up. A great person for you to check out, Wes Watson. I don't know him. He was locked up in like California State Penitentiary for a decade, and this motherfucker is just he outworks he's up 215 every day. He is a bad motherfucker,
like a Goggins type.
But yeah, he's a Goggins type, but he's like the street Goggins. Like he was like gang member. Like straight like Cali, like that Cali penitentiary life was some crazy shit too. And he's just, but it's all gems, bro. You stack those W's up with everything you do. And then also being mindful of like when you need your time. Like you said, like you got, like I know with me, if I really go too hard enough, I know the day does come and I'm going to get sick. I'll get that cold I get every now and then or something. So it's like I know that like I always need to have that time, whether it's like after 15 days straight of going at it, or if I know that this week's going to be light, it's like good. Take one of those days, take a good couple hours to just really, take care of yourself.
Yeah, you seem to have a really good perspective on that. And I always like listening to people, see how they handle it. And I actually love, for example, that's why I'm going to check that guy out. But like, I love talking to guys who have done great things after prison life and previous life ended.
Yeah.
And their perspective on the smallest stuff.
Smallest
little
stuff.
freedoms. Like I could listen to my friend Big Dan Thayer, who I had on here, talk about that all day because he wasn't in touch with it. He got put in the system when he was like 15, like 7 years for something that was fucked up that like he defended himself kind of deal. But like, then he goes in this crazy life of crime and drugs and drugs and crime and drugs. And it took what ended up being his last little bit in prison for him to finally realize when he would look out the window just a little window right there, and see like a bird. You'd be like, oh wow, that's freedom.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Yeah,
like
man.
He turned that switch himself. And I could listen to that all day because you're in a situation there where every odd was stacked against him and he found a way. And he did it by recognizing the smallest little wins, like a bird representing freedom. It's a beautiful thing.
That's facts. There is beauty in every single thing. And the world is, this is one of the things he says that I really like. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but it's like the world isn't the way it is, it's the way you are. I love that shit because it's true. The way you're seeing the world, that's how it is. Yeah. So you better try and look at it with the best perspective that you can, or at least try and be as positive as you can.
Yeah, you've seen the meme of like the cartoon of the person on the bus and they're looking out each of the windows.
Oh, dude, it's so corny and like funny because but it's facts.
It's true.
It's facts.
Well, listen, dude. I think you're young. You're doing the harder parts of creativity, whether it's like anything from like making yourself into a comedian now to also you wrote a play that you're starring in. You wrote a movie script that you have in the bank. It's done. No one can ever take that from you.
Yeah.
I love hearing about that stuff because you've already taken the actions. Like, I don't know if you recognize that, but like the line started a long time ago and like you're down it, and you obviously have a fuck ton of talent. That's why I wanted to bring you in here. I appreciate how you think and everything, but like,
thank you, man.
You're gonna get there with the mentality you have right now. If you don't lose that, you know, maybe that first screenplay is the one that goes. Maybe it's the one right after that.
Yeah.
But like, you already got one in the books.
Maybe it's enough to just put me in the conversation with someone. Yeah, dude. That's what it's all about, man.
That's it.
That's what it's all about. And you're doing it with this too.
I'm trying to.
That's what it's all about, baby. Gotta fucking do a damn thing and make it yours.
You talk about like that legacy thing. If you build something, no one can take it from you.
It's there. It's there forever. You live forever. Each of us gets to live forever because of that. And that's special.
No shit, man.
Some people are gone and they are gone for good.
You can only worry about yourself though, you know, in that way.
Yes, sir.
You can help people, but you got to help yourself first to be able to do that. So once again, where's that play playing?
It's going to be Saturday, June 11th at the Grizzly Pear Comedy Club in New York City, 4 p.m. Tickets are available on my Instagram at Joey Deef. And you could also see it July 15th at the YMCA in Wayne, New Jersey.
The YMCA.
8 p.m., in their theater. 400-seater. We're packing that bitch out, people.
YMCAs are doing well these days. Fuck.
Yeah, you know.
And then where's the festival again?
Edinburgh, Scotland. So we'll be in Edinburgh, Scotland at the Fringe Festival at the Hill Street Theatre, August 5th to the 28th. So, you know.
Beautiful.
If you're out there, fucks.
All right, make sure I put a link to that on there so people can see that.
For sure.
But that's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I appreciate
you. Thanks for coming down here.
Dude, thanks for having me. Like I told you, it was nice to have a 2-hour drive of just like, it was like the shower or the walk,
That's
you know?
it.
I was just like banging some music and I'm like, nice.
Reset.
We're cruising. It might be a long one home with our shore folk coming home today.
It might be. You'll hit a little traffic at 7A,
but
you'll be all right after
we
that.
do it for the love of the game, son.
That's it.
I'm glad to have been here. Thank you for having me,
Pleasure
man.
to finally meet you in person.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I was like a shitty date. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to be down. We could go get drinks on Tuesday. And then it's like,
and then it ends up 4 months later.
Tuesday doesn't work. But no, we made it happen, man. Seriously. Thank you for fucking having me.
Well, John Rondy's comedian guy lives on in my phone.
Yeah, Rondy,
We'll keep it that way.
He makes it happen.
He does make it happen, man. That kid kills it.
Hell yeah, man.
I love that guy. Great dude.
I love him too.
But we'll do it again, all right, bro?
Absolutely, man.
And good luck with the play.
Thanks, brother.
Everybody else, you know what it is. Give it a thought. Get back to me.
Peace.
Peace.